Good evening, everyone. We will call our meeting to order. Before we begin, please silence your cell phones so as not to disturb the flow of business. Tonight, we are going to begin with a moment of silence. And tonight will be in memory of our fallen officer, Bill Broadway, who passed away. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And now, if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Smith, announcements?
Good evening. Just a couple of announcements for you this evening. Wanted to let everybody know Mecklenburg County will host an opioid summit on Monday, September 15th at the Charlotte Convention Center located at 501 South College Street. That will go from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Leaders there are planning to share relevant information and up-to-date data on the opioid settlement work and spending plan. If you are a Mecklenburg County resident, registration is free, but it is requested that you register in advance. And you can do so at southpiedmontahec.org/event/75020. For more information, anyone can contact Betsy Abraham at betsy.abraham@mecnc.gov. Also, just wanted to remind everybody that on September 20th, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Rosenwald School No. 2, located at 508 Delwood Drive, we'll be celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Huntersville Rosenwald School No. 2. The program will include a show and share school memorabilia roundtable discussion, historic bookmarks book club panel discussion, and the unveiling of a historic marker for Huntersville Rosenwald School No. 2. And if you'd like to register or learn more about this, please visit hl.mecnc.gov. And that's all I had.
It is my great honor tonight to swear in our new police chief, Chief Brian Vaughn. Brian was hired by the Huntersville Police Department in January of 2001 after having spent previous 2.5 years at the Wilkesboro Police Department. He has over 26 years experience in law enforcement. Chief Vaughn has an associate degree from Stanley Community College and a bachelor's from Liberty University. He graduated from the IACP Leadership and Police Organizations and plans to attend the Police Executive Research Forum this summer. Or he did that last summer, didn't you? Yep, he did. He has served the Huntersville citizens as a patrol officer, traffic officer, canine officer, patrol sergeant, traffic sergeant, recruiting training lieutenant, field services captain, and support services captain. And so we are excited tonight to swear him in as our chief of police. Repeat after me. I, Brian Vaughn, do solemnly swear
I, Brian Vaughn, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established for the government thereof,
which are or may be established for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor to support,
that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state,
maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be alert and vigilant
that I will be alert and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
that I will not be influenced in any manner
that I will not be influenced in any manner
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
execute the duties of my office as the Chief of Police
execute the duties of my office as the Chief of Police
according to the best of my skills, abilities, and judgment.
according to the best of my skills, abilities, and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we will have a proclamation for Patriot Day. Whereas this 11th of September marks 24 years since the unconscionable attacks of September 11th, 2001 claimed nearly 3,000 lives and irrevocably changed our world, and whereas every year since we have observed this somber anniversary as Patriot Day to remember those we lost and honor the courageous first responders and men and women from all walks of life who took action to protect their fellow Americans, and whereas, as we reflect on these past years, we also commemorate the service members who answered our nation's call in the aftermath of attacks. We will never forget their sacrifices to protect our cherished freedoms and way of life. And whereas on this day of remembrance, let us pay tribute to the American heroes we've lost and recommit to the values of equality, opportunity, and freedom our nation stands for. Now, therefore, I, Christy Clark, Mayor of Huntersville, do hereby proclaim September 11th as Patriot Day in Huntersville, North Carolina. We have a proclamation for Suicide Prevention Week. Whereas with September being recognized as Suicide Awareness Month, the National Suicide Prevention and Action Month proclamation was created to raise the availability of the mental health and proactive suicide prevention resources in our community. Whereas, according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, more than 49,000 people die by suicide annually in the United States. And according to the Hope for the Day, with an average of 132 suicides completed daily, and each one directly impacting 100 additional people, including friends, service members, family, social media connections, and neighbors, we can safely assume everyone has been impacted by suicide. And whereas the town of Huntersville publicly places its full support behind those who work in the field of mental health, education, and law enforcement. Whereas we encourage all residents to take time to understand mental health through education and recognize that we need to take care of our mental health while we take care of each other. Now, therefore, I, Christy Clark, Mayor of Huntersville, do hereby proclaim September 7th through 13th as Suicide Prevention Week in Huntersville, North Carolina. Two public comments this evening. Rachel Zwiff. Rachel. Oh, here she comes. Rachel, you have 3 minutes.
All right. Good afternoon. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Rachel Zwiff. I reside on Central Avenue. Part one of my public comments is I am here as the petitioner of the Central Avenue street calming efforts. I need to ask my fellow residents that when you're coming down Central Avenue in Pottstown to please slow down. We have increased traffic with school starting back to school. My son personally has to catch the bus at 6 in the morning. We're asking that the residents and our fellow community members slow down on that street. My second part comes to, unfortunately, I cannot stay for the agenda item later on this evening, but I stand before you as a Pottstown resident, a neighborhood that has long carried more than its share of environmental burdens. This request to rezone and expand the landfill threatens not only our environment, but our health, our safety, and our very future of our neighborhood. I need to be clear, the so-called community information session was not adequate. No one from our community was there. The very families who sit just a couple hundred feet from the landfill were present. maybe of some developers, that is not a representation of true Pottstown community. Our community stretches wider and farther, made up of generations and families and children and elders who deserve to be heard. True outreach means engaging everyone who will live with these consequences, just not the handful of parcels closest to the landfill. I also have intimate unanswered questions. How will groundwater in the streams be protected from toxic runoff? How will our air be safeguarded from increased methane and dust? What measures are in place to prevent erosion, flooding, and destruction of natural buffers? Until these questions are answered honestly and transparently, any rezoning is premature and irresponsible. This is bigger than zoning lines. It is about environmental justice, expanding the landfill risks, polluting our streams, destabilizing soil and public, endangering health for decades to come. Pottstown is not a dumping ground. Our children deserve safe air and assurance that their neighborhood is treated with dignity and fairness. I urge you to inspect fully in its entirety the rezoning quest for this petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Ms. Caldwell, BJ Caldwell. You have 3 minutes, Ms. Caldwell.
Good afternoon. I am Betty Jane B.J. Caldwell, and I live at 14521 New Haven Drive in Huntersville, North Carolina. For the first 20 years of my life, I lived in the colored part of town, and in 1966, I was identified as colored or Negro. 50 years later, in 2016, I and others like me gained our freedom during the civil rights movement of the 1960s, and we considered ourselves African American or Black. 9 years later, many of those freedoms have been reversed back to the pre-1966 era. Now, the colored part of town is the most sought-out parcels in Huntersville. Why am I sharing this information with you at the town board? It's because we need to call your attention to some facts that need governmental intervention. Needed are sidewalks and more street calming devices. The following streets are the main ones in our area: Gibson Park Drive, South Church Street, Delwood Drive, Central Avenue, and Holbrooks Road. And in the ETJ, New Haven Park, where I live, Berkeley Lane, New Haven Drive, and Star Court. Dalewood has 2 street common devices, and we're grateful to have them because they were direly needed. With the potential extension of the demo landfill at the end of Holbrook Road, more traffic may be coming. And in the past 6 weeks, I walked those streets, and my life was in the hands of the speeding drivers who are using them as a super expressway. In an effort to show others where we were relegated during the 20th century, we did a walking together unity stroll through the neighborhood on yesterday. The dangers presented by the speeders is a serious threat to residents who live on them. And in some instances, you have a little curve that doesn't look like a curve until 2 people are trying to pass in a vehicle. That's why I'm calling your attention and appealing to you to help to make drivers aware of the potential harm that could happen to others because of their speed. Please place the little speed attention device somewhere on those streets periodically to help call attention to the fact that there is a speed limit of 25 miles an hour. Thank you for your attention, and I'm glad to be back in Huntersville in the board giving you my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Caldwell. All right. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda or any agenda changes?
I would like to make a motion that we adopt the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt the consent agenda.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Public hearings. 9A. Conduct a public hearing on petition R25-08 Second Street Village.
Good evening. Before I begin, I'll submit my staff report into the record. Okay. The applicants Jay Henson and Brian Hines are proposing to rezone 4.8 acres of land from neighborhood residential to neighborhood residential with a conditional district. Here's an aerial view of the proposed rezoning site. As you can see to the east, there is an existing church, as well as the existing single-family homes along Walter Street. Directly to the south is the recently approved First and Church Street Townhome project, and to the west we have North Church Street and the Red Line, or the future Red Line. The rezoning consists of a 15-unit apartment and 61 townhomes that make up a mix of 2- and 3-story buildings. They are providing 128 parking spaces throughout a mix of surface lots, garages, and on-street parking. The applicants are meeting their tree save requirements, and they will additionally provide a 12-foot side path along Church Street, which will be part of the Seam Trail, and include hardscape planting strips with street trees to mimic what was approved as part of the First and Church Street project to the south. The applicants entered a purchase agreement with the town of Huntersville for 1.68 acres, which is shown in red. That agreement was to provide future affordable housing. Staff recommend that a condition be added to the site plan stating the details of the affordable housing. The applicant is proposing 6 urban open spaces throughout their project. 2 of those are Vooners. 2 of them are pedestrian passageways. 1 is a green and another is a park. The 2 Vooners are proposed to be made up of brick pavers, and their main purpose is to provide a multi-purpose connection east to west that primarily are for pedestrians, but they do allow slow vehicular traffic. Staff does recommend that those Vooners be placed within a public access easement to ensure the public does have that connection. Additionally, staff ask that additional amenities be added to the Vooners so they're more differentiated from the alleyways throughout the project. Here are the proposed elevations for the townhomes. The 3-story townhomes are on the right and the 2 on the left. And this is the provided elevations for the apartment. They did provide us 2 elevations, so we will need them to provide us or narrow down which elevation that they plan on using. The applicant has provided a conditional note that states that the site plan and elevations are conceptual in nature. Staff just ask that the applicant use staff's own language for this in order to ensure that the general layout and the general items of the rezoning meet the plan. Stormwater, the current submitted plan was not compliant with stormwater requirements, but the applicant has been working with staff, and as of this morning, their plans will meet stormwater requirements once they submit those for official review. And the applicant has requested 6 different modifications from the zoning ordinance. The first is the yard tree requirement. The applicant is planning to only provide yard trees where space allows. Staff is in support of this modification request as that requirement was created for suburban developments and not urban areas like this one. Additionally, they will be adding trees where possible. And you will have the required street trees along the road frontage. The next modification is the attached housing percentage. They're asking for 100% attached housing. Staff is in support of this as it's consistent with the downtown master plan and the 2040 community plan. The next modification is the buffer reduction. They are asking for a reduction of the buffer to 0. Additionally, staff is in support of this as it's consistent with the downtown master plan and the 2040 plan for this area. The next modification is the rear setbacks. The applicant is asking to allow a variable rear setback that are less than the required 35 foot. Staff is also in support of this modification as this ordinance requirement was additionally created for more suburban style townhome developments and not urban environments like this one. Next, we have the attached house building height modification. The applicant is asking for an increase of 3 feet in height for their townhomes, which will bring them from 30 feet to 33 feet. Staff is also in support of this as is consistent with the heights set out within the downtown master plan. And the last modification was not on the site plan, but they will need to ask for a modification to not provide on-street parking. Once this is added, staff would be in support as the applicant is providing excess parking above the minimum parking requirements. So the rezoning site is located within the town core and mixed use center future land use character areas of the 2040 Huntersville Community Plan. And here are a long list of policies that do support this project. I'm not going to go into each policy, but I will share a few or highlight a few. The first is policy LU 8.2, which states to encourage higher design standards. So this project does go above and beyond the minimum requirements of the ordinance by providing a higher density of available urban open spaces for the development, while also incorporating aesthetic and design elements like the hardscape planting strips along Church Street. The next two policies that I'll highlight are the Downtown Policy 6 and the Downtown Policy 6.2, which state to create connected, safe, and engaging streetscapes that serve multiple purposes or multiple uses, as well as to pursue street connections and upgrades in the downtown. So this project is providing the 2 VUN roofs that are going to provide new connections east to west while providing a safer way for residents to use our streets. So that policy does support this project. And then policies that don't support this plan, policy LU5 is protect water quality. Staff will be able to support this policy once the updated stormwater plans are submitted. And then moving forward to the downtown master plan. So the red box, a little hard to tell, shows where this rezoning site is compared to the downtown master plan. In this area, the downtown master plan calls for a mix of apartments and attached housing, which essentially mirrors what the applicants have provided in their rezoning site plan. Additionally, the downtown master plan calls for VUN roof pedestrian connections and a park at the corner of Walter Street and 2nd Street. And again, this project is essentially mirroring exactly what the downtown master plan is calling for. And staff recommendation, the application to intensify the properties is consistent with the character area recommendations of the Huntersville 2040 plan and the downtown master plan. Additionally, the applicant provides urban open spaces that goes above and beyond the minimum requirements of the zoning ordinance while also working with the town to enable future affordable housing. Staff can recommend approval once the stormwater items are addressed. Some additional recommendations, as briefly mentioned before, is that the VUN roofs are further amenitized and they are placed within a public access easement. If you guys have any questions for me, I can answer that for you. And the applicants are also here, but they do not have a presentation. They'll just answer any questions if you have them.
I have questions for the applicant.
Ma'am, the gallery is not permitted to ask questions of the petitioner, but you can wait and ask after the meeting is over, if you want to catch or you can email them.
So I noticed that the language for affordable housing said that it's for people who make no more than 120% of the AMI. So I'm wondering if this is operating on a range, like 60 to 120% of AMI, or if you could clarify that.
Yeah, we can clarify that, and I may ask for staff attorney to help us with that, because we help with the, and then also Brian, if we have,
Currently, we have it between 80 and 120% AMI
yeah.
for all 15 units.
Okay, so then how would it determine who receives that unit?
That will be, I think, part of our condition is we entitle, we develop the parcel, we donate it to a nonprofit. So whoever the nonprofit is will have to have the ability to vent. They will manage all of the tenants and the leasing of that space. But they'll also be mandated by our HOA governing documents, our architectural standards, and those things as well.
Okay, thank you. And then could you talk about how you plan to amenitize the Woonroof?
Yeah, we, a couple of ideas. One is to try to use the permeable pavers as sort of an accent, you know, with the other alleys being asphalt. And that will also, you know, our goal is to maybe use some of that for stormwater detention and some of the water quality for the amount of drainage area that could go to that. We wanted to do all of the alleys with permeable pavers, but that was the holdup with the water quality issue, so we had to go to Plan B. But definitely those will be amenitized with permeable pavers, and then there's a couple areas on the site plan that has little areas where you could do like a small plaza or yeah, little seating areas and stuff like that. So we want to make that difference so that when you see it, you know that it's you know that's what that is, and then you can have little breakaway areas to sit and gather.
Yeah. Okay, I was wondering if you would do like vertical plantings maybe, or like globe lights or something that creates some ambiance.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't thought about that, but obviously we would do like uplighting and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd like to make something cool there because it will be a really nice space. Definitely the landscape would be enhanced in the area as well.
Just for clarity, if we can go back to the affordable housing piece in, there was a statement about donating to a nonprofit. Will they manage the property? When you say donate and manage, I just want to make sure.
So we'll improve the parcel, we'll donate it to a nonprofit. At that time, the town attorney will work with them as well on some of those other details.
Okay.
Going to Ms. Hunt's question as well.
Okay, all right. I just was wanting to know, like, how would that work as far as you all donating the property and then the nonprofit organization managing the property? But legally, I'm sure we can, if you can kind of, or you will, okay,
Yeah, the nonprofit will then eventually go out there and get grants, raise funds
right.
to build that building. They'll build the building. And then they'll have restrictions, deed restrictions on that parcel of what they can and cannot do. And that'll all be worked out between us and the town.
Yes, and we will provide, the parking would be part of the original plan, so that'll be in place.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Hi. I was going to ask for clarification on the stormwater issue and
Yeah.
what the current plan is moving forward. So can you provide
Sure.
some information on that?
Okay, I'm gonna give you the long story very fast. We wanted to do everything with permeable pavers. And it's a little different. There's a state manual and then the town of Huntersville manual. State manual will allow us to do this based on the amount of drainage area going to it. Huntersville manual is a little different. It's adopted in Charlotte. So we had more impervious than allowed to the permeable pavers, so we couldn't do the whole thing in permeable pavers. And so we're looking at, we're not gonna do a pond, because that was like, couldn't do that. Just a personal thing. So we're gonna put a water quality device underground where it won't be seen in the very top where the green area is. And that'll be underground, and it'll allow us to feel there's a little bit of a gully in there, so it's kind of a natural fit. And we can cover that up and have sort of a level area on top grass, like a play area or recreation area. So it'll kind of convert that into an open space or an amenity area. So we made some changes late last week to run through the calculation to do that, to make sure it worked, and we sent it to staff. That was the delay on that.
Do you mind kind of defining how you're viewing, because you haven't mentioned it's going to be a co-op. Can you explain a little bit about what you mean by that?
I don't know, let you take that one.
The difference between a co-op and attainable building, is that the question?
Well, just how, because that's how it's kind of being described in the application, so I just want to make sure that we're all clear of what's meant by that.
Yeah, it's, the co-op will actually own the building, and they'll have a lease, and they'll have an agreement with individual tenants within that lease, and they can stay there as long as they're within those ranges, between 80 and 120. So, I mean, it's almost like a piece of ownership in the building as well, while the nonprofit owns it.
Thanks. And then I've got one question for staff. I don't know, planning, or if MJ's here as well. I was just trying to remember, do you know where, in relation to where the Wooners are, how close that is in proximity to the future trailhead? That's kind of,
For the Greenway.
yeah.
I believe the Greenways. No, I think she's. Are you asking about the Seam Trail or the?
The Vine, like the future, and I know like the downtown portion, we still haven't quite determined, but there is kind of a starting point in the master plan for going east. East.
Yep. I don't believe it's been designed yet, so we're not 100% sure where that's going to go yet. But at one point, there will be a connection.
Okay, I do think it's on our parks master plan, but that's okay, we can look into it later. If you don't know right now, that's fine, we could, if you could let me know later.
So the Seam Trail runs north-south along Church Street, and then inside Vermillion, you'll have this tie-in. So they'll tie in together just about right here where Vermillion Village and Church Street intersect. This road that continues up will get relocated into Vermillion Village. That's all occurring right now.
All right, yeah, I think we're talking about two different sections. So further down Second Street, I feel like somewhere there, the part of the future Greenway that's going to be going out, like past Vermillion, down to Asbury Chapel, that section.
So that trail is, if you see this right here,
I'm just trying to figure out how close we're getting to that.
what you're going to have is we're going to have 10-foot sidewalks along Huntersville Concord Road. The actual Greenway will be right through here, through this creek. And then you'll have Greenway that penetrates up into Vermillion Village.
Okay, now with that in mind, do you mind on this map pointing out where the Wooners are going to be?
Green roofs will be right where the word site is, and then right along this bottom edge right here.
Okay,
A lot of pedestrian connectivity in this area.
perfect, thank you. We got there eventually.
Sorry, one more question. The two elevation images for the apartments, have you guys decided between which one you are moving forward with?
The latest discussion we've had is to use the top elevation, a little bit more contemporary, but that's a different building, so it's not as large. The one on the bottom is the right size. It just has a different roof system. But the plan right now is to go with the flat roof that's shown at the top.
Just for the record, my favorite is the bottom one with the flated roof.
Figured.
Any other questions? My question was kind of adjacent to Mayor Pro Tem Hunt's about the VUNERF and amenities, but it's more for staff. When we're talking about a VUNERF, when we mean amenities, what do we mean by that exactly?
Yeah, so currently they're going to have a network beyond the VUNERFs that are alleys as well. Those primary purposes is for driving and parking your car. In order to differentiate the two, we're looking for vertical plantings, planters, benches, maybe some lighting, using different materials of the street itself. Anything that just differentiates it a bit from the alleyways throughout the project. It can be any combination of those things.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought, just want to make sure. Any other questions? Nope, Commissioner Hunt?
I remember when we were talking about the Woonroof down here, and there's the fence there, and there was talk about like putting some public art there. There would be a fence installed and putting public art there. What do you think about that? Adding some public art of some kind?
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. I think, like you were saying earlier, with lights and even maybe overhead lights and, you know, or something subtle to draw you in, a place for art. There is on the site plan, there is a nice area for a sculpture type of art in the middle of the lower section, a little area between the dark shaded buildings and the lighter. I don't think. You know, that's a conceptual sort of meeting area, but a great place for public art too.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And for the record, I actually like the flat roof better.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Item 9B, conduct a public hearing on petition R2-07, Home to Hilton.
Okay. Before I begin again, I will submit my staff report into the record. So the applicant, PM Patel, is proposing to rezone 2.688 acres of corporate business and general residential to highway commercial with a conditional district. And here's an aerial overview of the rezoning site. To the east, you have existing single-family homes. To the south, you have the existing Best Western Hotel. And to the west, you have the Ford car dealership across 21. So a 6-story, 70-foot, 117-room Home to Hilton brand hotel is being proposed at the site. The applicant is proposing 119 parking spaces with 5 van parking spots, and their access will be off of Dallas Street and through the existing Best Western driveway entrance off of 21. So the applicant has provided us 2 different elevations as shown up on the screen. I believe their preference is the one in the middle, and that is also the one that staff supports. The applicant has also provided a condition on their site plan that states that the site plan and the elevations are conceptual in nature. Again, staff recommend that they use staff's language for any conceptual items to ensure that the site plan is generally consistent with the approved rezoning plan. At the corner of the site of 21 and Dallas Street, the applicant is proposing a 4,000 square foot urban open space, in this case a green, that will include walkways, vegetation, a fire pit, benches, and a gazebo. This will be placed within a NCDOT stormwater easement, so staff just needs confirmation that NCDOT is okay with those items being placed there. Currently, the applicant is meeting all of their tree save requirements. A tree report was provided that stated that many of the specimen trees are in poor health, so we just need the applicants to confirm the specimen count and that any of the specimens that are in poor health do not count towards that total specimen number. Additionally, the applicant is providing the required 30-foot buffer. On top of that, the applicant is proposing to increase the number of plantings above the minimum requirements of the ordinance. They are proposing to provide or the requirement for 4 trees per 1,000 square feet. They're proposing 7 trees, and the requirement for 7 shrubs per 1,000 square feet, they are providing 10 shrubs per 1,000 square feet. On top of that, they're proposing to provide a 12-foot tall evergreen every 20 feet in order to provide some height to the buffer. Additionally, they are proposing a wall and fence along the edge of that buffer. As you can see above in the dark blue line, along the eastern edge of the buffer, they're proposing a 6-foot masonry wall. And in the light blue, they're providing an 8-foot opaque fence. And they would like to continue that fence along the rear of the Best Western, which the applicant also owns. A retaining wall is proposed on the back side of the buffer facing Hillcrest Road. The grading plan appears to show that it will be about 20 feet in height at its highest point and will raise the parking and hotel above the buffer and the street. That height does decrease the farther south you go along that red line. Staff do have concerns that this buffer will negate any benefits of the vegetated buffer given the increased height of the hotel. Further clarity on the grading sheet is required so we can fully understand what this is going to look like. And the applicant is proposing 5 different modifications. The first 3 are similar. They are proposing to increase the height of the hotel from the max 36 feet to 70 feet. With that, they are required to provide a 210-foot separation between the hotel and the nearest residential property. The applicant is requesting to decrease that to 100 feet. Staff is currently not in support of those 3 modifications, as the increase in height is not commensurate with the decreased separation between the 2 uses. The next modification is the request to grade within the undisturbed 30-foot buffer. I should add selectively grade within the 30-foot buffer. Staff is in support of this modification, as the applicant is going above and beyond the minimum requirements for planting that buffer. On top of that, they will be keeping some of the existing vegetation as well. And the last modification request is to the hotel structure location. Currently, the zoning ordinance requires that the hotel be placed at the corner of the property along 21 and Dallas Street. The applicant is requesting to set back the structure from that corner due to the NCDOT stormwater drainage easement. Staff is in support of this, as they can physically not place the building within that easement. And on top of that, the applicant is providing that urban open space at the corner instead. So the 2040 community plan does support this use in the general location. The rezoning site is located within the Employment Center activity, or the Employment Center feature character area, and at the edge of the mixed-use center. Policies LU 6.2 and policies LU 5.2 and policies LU 2.1 do support the plan, as this hotel will be placed along a major thoroughfare and within the 2-mile I-77 NC 115 corridor for higher intensity uses. Though policies LU 8.2 and policies 11.1 do not support this plan, as they have not provided the full elevations for the hotel, and the project's proposed increase in height and decreased separation from nearby residential properties do not protect or enhance the character of the nearby neighborhood. For staff's recommendation, while the overall project is consistent with the character area recommendations of the Huntersville 2040 plan, staff would not be able to support the project without a combination of the following recommendations being met. Some of those include lower or adjust the retaining wall and grading so it does not compromise the buffer, lower the height of the building, increase the distance from the nearby residential properties, provide a wider buffer, and finally provide the full elevations of the hotel. And if you have any questions, I can answer those. The applicant also has a presentation prepared.
Any questions for staff? Okay. The applicant, you can do your presentation. You'll have 15 minutes.
Good evening, commissioners, staff. Thank you, Nathan. My name is Robert Irvin. I will be introducing this project R2507 for the applicant. Tonight, we have the applicant here. We have PM Patel here, and we have Hanul Patel. And we also have Susan Irvin from Irvin Law Group, and she is going to kick things off.
Thank you. I'm Susan Irvin with Irvin Law Group. I would have been asked by Mr. Patel to introduce him and give a little bit of a background. And it is my honor to do so and to speak on his behalf. I'm going to say some things that he probably wouldn't say. So first of all, the Patel family has been in this area for over 30 years. Mr. Patel graduated from UNC Charlotte, and his very first hotel was the Best Western. He opened in 2000, and he has a local family-owned business here, and he has worked hard over the years to grow this business with his family. That they now own 58 hotels on the eastern U.S. seaboard in 8 states. And that is a local family-owned Huntersville business. This just gives you a little bit of an idea of where the property is in relation to the Best Western, which again is a 25-year-old structure and it was his very first hotel. What he would like to do with the wealth of experience and knowledge that he's gained over the years is he would like to bring a higher tier hotel to this area. And that is in his heart of hearts, he would like to do that in Huntersville. Because of his reputation and because of the breadth of his experience of all of the hotel owners and operators, he was awarded the flag of the Hilton here and the Home 2 at this location. One of the really great things about having a Home 2 here, aside from the location of the property itself, is that if the Home 2 is approved, then the Patels will be able to, the Patel family will be able to upgrade the Best Western. And Hilton will require the same upgrades of the Best Western that they require of their new hotels. So it is a major upgrade, a major increase in that building quality and value. I wanted to, go back and talk about this slide a little bit to explain the higher tier hotel. The Home 2 is what is called a hybrid suites hotel. The interesting thing about this is that most of the red dots that you see on this property are hotels that have been in Huntersville, some for a long time. All of them are typically less than $100 a night. They're wonderful hotels. They're the kind of hotel a person will stop and stay at on their way to somewhere else. The difference is that the Home 2 is that higher niche classification that is going to provide a place for corporate executives who might be using the park, or medical professionals who might be going to the hospital, or people who might be coming to Huntersville for private events or family events. So it brings a market of people to Huntersville to stay here and to work here and to play here that normally don't have that opportunity. This I think this slide is also good to just kind of show what's around here and why this is the appropriate location. The green area is the hotel location that's being proposed. Of course, to the south, you can see the Best Western that's there now. To the north, it's really squeezed by that NCDOT project at Gilead Road. And to the west are the car dealerships. And then right next to them, of course, is I-77. So this is a really appropriate location because it would be in line with the Best Western. I want to talk a little bit about this site plan because it gives me an opportunity to tell you a little bit about the work that Mr. Patel and his son Hanil have done in the community and also just working with the staff. The frontage on Highway 21, I would say, as you probably gathered, is the majority of the comments from the staff. That is a key component of the community requirement. The people that Mr. Patel has spoken with require that this hotel be on 21. And as a result of that, it is closer to the closest single-family lot, but the Best Western is also equally close. So Mr. Patel and his family have received 41 support letters for this hotel, and we sent them in earlier this morning. I'd like to ask that they be entered into the record. Also, you have here 30 people here in support of the hotel who've come tonight to show their support. As Nathan said, there are other elements of work with the community. He enhanced the buffer, added the 6-foot masonry wall, included the shared entrance off of Highway 21 so that that is the address and people will not be driving through the neighborhood looking for the hotel. This rear entrance here is a fire code requirement. He has agreed to make that a no right turn. So those are the changes that he has made. I think in terms of working with the staff on their comments, we did address their concerns about the topography, and it is more of 10 to 15 foot difference and with the buffer. And the architectural design, we've provided that, as Nathan said, in our working to that as well. The roof height of this Best Western will match the roof height of the existing, of this proposed hotel will match the roof height of the Best Western. The Best Western building itself is a shorter building, but it's higher up. So the roof line of the Best Western and the roof line of the proposed hotel will be at the same height. So I'd like to hand it over to Robert to talk a little bit more detail, but that is the high level and really just reflects the amount of work and dedication for this family business in Huntersville. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And here is a little bit zoomed in image of the urban open space, and Nathan did a great job of going over that. And in our talks with staff, they wanted something that would kind of modernize that streetscape a little bit and break it up a little bit, because as you know, all the NCDOT improvements have really, muddied that area up a little bit. Let me get rid of this. Okay, and then I'll go to this one to just show you, Nathan did another, also kind of stole my thunder a little bit here on the tree save data, but even if this project wasn't rezoning, we're currently meeting the requirements of the zoning designation districts, so we're saving over the required amount of specimen trees and over the required amount of tree canopy. And I wanted to share with you this view. This view is looking from Gilead towards the Best Western. You can see the Best Western in the background. And if I can go back to here, you'd basically be looking from right here towards the Best Western. And it gives you an idea of, all the improvements that NCDOT's done. They cleared a lot of the foliage and a lot of the brush that was there. And you can also see there is a kind of a mound right there, and then it does kind of drop off into the gully, and that's some of the grading issues that the staff alluded to. The trees in the background that you see there, some of those are on the residential property and also on the Best Western property. So those aren't all going to be gone. There are 19 specimen trees, and we're currently saving about 7. We're still working with those numbers right now, but the majority of those trees will remain there. Now this view, if I can take you back to Hillcrest now, and I'll just give you an idea. So we'd now be about right back here, and then we're looking towards 21. You can see how it's very open now. NCDOT has done their improvements, and you can see that turnaround right there, the light right there. And so it's very open. The noise comes in, the lights come in, and in a way, this new landscaping buffer in the hotel will insulate the neighborhood from some of that noise and some of that light. And here's just another image. As you can see, right there is the Gilead intersection. So it's very clear and very visible from this view. And here's something in a recent submission we've given to staff, and staff just didn't have the time to review this and put this in their report. But it gives you an idea of what that line of sight will look like with the retaining wall. So here is the retaining wall, if I can kind of circle it, and it's about 10 to 15 feet. And then you can see the large maturing trees, you can see the evergreens, you can see the evergreen plantings, and then you have your street trees, or your parking lot trees, and then you have your hotel back here. So that enhanced buffer will really block all of that view for the hotel and any of that noise or light that might come from up there. And then, yeah, so the masonry wall you can kind of see right here, this little orange box, that's to mainly block a lot of the headlights that are coming from cars that park in the parking lot, so it'll stop any of that light seepage into there. And then if you look down on this bottom image, if you can kind of see, it's a little covered up by some of these plantings, but all right here, that's the retaining wall. And it's kind of a variable retaining wall, like staff was saying, and it's gonna be about 10 to 15 feet, so it'll be short over here on this side, and then it'll increase here, and then it'll shorten up over here. But this kind of gives you a sense of what that topography looks like and how much they're gonna have to raise it up. So it's gonna be about 10 to 15 feet as it goes across there. Whoops. Okay. And one of the things in talking with staff is they really wanted to see what this would look like. And Nathan and Brian both wanted this hotel to fit in with the community. They wanted to complement the character of the neighborhood, the buildings that are already there. And so this image is an actual home too that's just been finished in Boone, North Carolina, near Appalachian State. And it has some of the similar characteristics as this site. It abuts a residential neighborhood back here. It's on a major thoroughfare. And what the Home 2 Hilton, what Mr. Patel's Home 2 Hilton will have is a extremely enhanced buffer back here. It'll be a lot more coverage back there. Excuse me, let me just get rid of that. And so I think that what this design will do, it'll be a lot more compatible with the surrounding area, and it won't be as, it'll just fit in a little bit better. Next, we have some of the hybrid suite layouts. It just gives you an idea of what amenities are provided in the room. So there's a little kitchen or a kitchenette, there's a living area, there's a workspace, and that all goes to attract somebody to Huntersville who's gonna stay in Huntersville and wants to contribute to the town and not just stop in for one night and head on to their next destination. And the sustainability measures that go along with the Home 2 are pretty significant, and that's one of the major selling points of the Home 2. There's a lot of green initiatives, a lot of energy efficiency initiatives, and then with this Home 2 approval, if it goes through, the Best Western will get to be brought up to speed with all of these energy initiatives. It'll have enhanced decoration, repainting, everything will be rewired. And then, these amenities are just an example of what the Home 2 can provide and what the types of people will be staying. And then, and also the 6 to 8 electric vehicle charging stations. I think that's a big selling point because Huntersville is kind of lacking in some of those, and they'll be, open for people, driving on the highway, driving in Huntersville. It'll just be a easy access. Let's see, let me get rid of that. Nathan covered the 2040 plan very well. It's a great economic driver for the area. Let's see. It's increased property taxes. It's about a $30 million project, and it'll support a lot of the businesses around Huntersville, especially the park. and the hospital, and then the new hospital, even up in Cornelius. I think it'll be a good place for people to stay and support. And that, I think we are good, and we are here to answer any questions for you. Thank you.
Commissioner Walsh?
Yeah, can you, in listening to the staff, it sounds like the parking lot is give or take 20 feet elevated above the buffer area, and yet you guys are saying 10 feet or something. So which is it?
I think where the confusion was is the Best Western and the Home 2 will be on different levels. So there is a little bit of a decline in between the Best Western property and the Home 2. So I don't know if you want to speak to that. I just think we needed to show that on our plans, and our plans that we've recently submitted, we included some more clarification on that.
Yeah, we were just basing that assumption off of the grading plan that was sent to us, which kind of has some confusing contours. They have a lot of existing and the new contours on top of each other. So working with engineering, that's the number that we came up with for the max height of that retaining wall. If it's changed, we'll reevaluate.
Okay, so there's been some new information since the staff report.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're going to work with staff and get that nailed down.
Okay, so, Mr. Patel, if you could come up for me, please. How are you? Fine, how are you? I'm good, thank you. So currently, Best Western is operating. How many would you say that you have on staff at the Best Western currently?
The staff, like altogether in
Yes.
employee, we got like almost 35.
Okay, and looking at the Hilton, the Home 2, how many would you look to have on staff there?
The Best Western,
The Hilton,
the Hilton itself, it will be almost 50 plus.
50 plus? Okay.
And then basically, I just want to add, like, we had a lots of students which they are working with us in time, like, because this property actually, Best Western, I built it in 98, 99, and opened in 2000. So there is a lots of local community, and this is my hometown, basically, and there's a lot of new, what you say, like, we have generated lots of employment also, yes.
According to the Tree Safe report, it said that you're saving a 26-inch oak, but it has a decaying base and a declining canopy. So is that tree in danger of falling over? Like, is that a safety risk, or are you saving it because it's potentially like wildlife habitat, as dead trees can sometimes be? Can you just clarify that?
So we have an arborist to evaluate those to decide if there's something that can be saved or not. And so that's one of the reasons those comments were made, those notes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And then just out of curiosity, since you mentioned the sustainability piece here, does Hilton 2 limit like single-use plastics? Do they use refillables? Can you talk about that?
Especially on the breakfast area and all in the rooms, we are not using any plastics and stuff like that. In a Home 2 is strictly like it has been a friendly environmental situation. So basically it is just like the crockery and stuff. So it is not a regular hotel which will be using any plastic or any paper dishes and stuff like that. It has to go through exactly like a high end of the embassy or something like that. So basically we are not using any plastic or something.
Okay, great.
Even in the garbage cans and stuff inside the rooms, we are not using any plastics.
That's cool. Since staff mentioned it, is there any opportunity to lower the height of the building, or is that pretty much set in stone?
Generally, we are trying to work on that, especially by going a little lower on the stuff like that. And maybe we can put like one side or one floor lower or something to make sure that once we get approval, we'll make sure that staff is happy. And I have done that before 25 years also when I built the Best Western. So I'm pretty much very familiar, and I'm like, this is my hometown. Though I'm having like 8 different states, but this is where my kids and we grew up.
If I could just add one thing, we are going to discuss the fact that we don't want to lower the height and then compromise some of those common spaces on the first floor. So,
Susan, can you speak into the mic?
I'm sorry, we didn't want to lower the height and compromise any of the common spaces. So that's really the discussion now is, lowering the height and not affecting the quality of the building. So at this point, I don't think it's anything that we would want to say until we've looked at it more closely.
Understood, thank you.
Height situation, we will not be higher than the Best Western, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Corley?
There was a comp slide showing the cost of the various hotels in the area. You mentioned high-end, and you also mentioned CEOs. Can you give us a ballpark? You can't give us an exact price, but a ballpark of what the average room rate will cost?
The average room rate will cost about like $180 plus minus, because generally what happens that our regular bar rate would be like $240, $225 a night. But most of all the churches, all the 12 churches in the Huntersville town, we had been supporting them all the time for 50% discount. And we had been supporting all this Huntersville stuff, like basically whoever are locals. So that will, and then secondary thing, of course, the medical, which we have it on the other side of the interstate, we are giving them a deep discount, and that's the average daily rate of that for each room would be about $175 to $180.
So can I just add to that? I think what we're saying is too, though, that the average rate is going to be over $200 a night. It's going to be $200 to $240 when you add in the taxes. But Mr. Patel does have arrangements with other organizations and groups to provide discounts. So he was giving you the possible lowest discounted rate. That would just be for the special groups.
So for sales tax, that's a good thing.
Sales tax, exactly.
Going back to the building height, can you help me understand how or why it wouldn't be higher than the Best Western?
So,
it's like twice
yes, that is a great question. One of the,
I know it's lower on the ground. I know the ground is elevated, but that much? I don't.
I don't have do we have one? Yeah, that's a good idea, the picture. So maybe in this image, you can see that Best Western is up on a hill.
Basically, where this is, it's kind of on that level.
It's on this level, and the home two would be on the ground level. And so when you, so that is I don't know what the height of the Best Western is.
Height of the Best Western
From
is right over here, the same height it will go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not too good on the driving, but yeah.
But it's going to be kind of, what I was, from the floor elevation to the top of the Best Western, it's not 70 feet, but the height from, I guess you could say, the street level, from the street level, it's going to be 70 feet for both.
One other question. It's very close to residential. That's a big ask of, approving less than even half of what we would normally approve there. Have you talked to the neighbors? Are they here? You have a lot of supporters. So have you talked to the neighbors? It looks like there's a couple here.
Yes, we have talked regularly with the neighbors. They have my cell phone, and in fact, we had been visiting the neighbors on Thanksgiving regularly, not just because of this project, but because I was the neighbor for a long time. So it has been regularly in touch with all the neighbors especially, and in fact, they asked me a request to come and see me. We met last Thursday at the Best Western, and they wanted to know exactly where the building goes. So we went on the ground and showed them physically where the building will be going.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Murray?
Yeah, I just have a few questions for the applicant as well. The upgrades to the Best Western, is that contingent on this rezoning?
Yes, basically the Best Western, we are using the same address to make sure that all the guests, those who are coming to these locations, and I want to make sure that basically whoever travels to the Best Western are going to have an exact same physical mailing address. So everybody will be using that same location to get in. So there will be no confusion like the other hotels and then neighborhoods, anybody will be going on that side because we have that turning radius which they have to go to the Best Western. And the Best Western will be only turned into the upper grade, which will be the part of the Hilton, because as soon as this is approved, they are going to approve it. And then basically Best Western will be remodeled right away in early 2026, where this property will take a little longer time than in the construction than and stuff like that. Even the construction entrance and everything will be taking from the front side. We already talked to NCDOT, so it is not going to be from the neighborhood.
And just to clarify, the answer is, but Mr. Patel answered the question that unless this is approved, Hilton will not approve the upgrade of the Best Western. Yes.
Okay, but it does sound like, did I catch that correctly, that you would be upgrading that, the existing Best Western property earlier than the construction of the new hotel? Okay, that's good to hear. The other question I had for you, and I'm just kind of pulling up my map for a second, because there's a few other hotels off of that exit, kind of north of Gilead Road. And I wanted to hear from you what, I guess comparison to the Comfort Suites and the Hampton Inn and Suites, like how is this hotel different? And that you're providing something that's not already there?
I'll be a little open out on that. There's no comparison. Because this is way higher brand. Basically, we tried to do an Embassy Suite over here because of the room and because of the area. The Hilton approved the next level, which is the sister concern of it, which is a Home2. When Home2 gets in, it was a better rates and the better quality of, better than a Hampton for sure. And that any hotelier can say that on that one. Especially they're only put the Home2 title, that it is a kind of situations where any people, those who are working in a corporate and stuff like that, they have to have certain places where they can go and feel like you just mentioned about the energy and stuff like that. It is a completely on LED lightings. Everything is the power saving and everything is the friendly environmental.
And then just my last question is, and I forgot what it was, hold on, going back to my other screen. Oh, I know you, Mr. Patel, you went kind of above and beyond and had a second meeting with some neighbors. I just wondered if you took notes or minutes in that meeting, or if there's anything additional that we should know that came out of that.
Yeah, we're working on just a report that just goes over everything we talked about, questions that were asked, and what happened in that meeting. And so I'll be submitting that to staff probably tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
In doing that, would you please share with us if that second meeting was hostile? Because I've gotten some information, and I actually to be transparent with us, because what was received, I want to make sure that we're doing what's best for Huntersville. So.
We talked about this before we came and decided that it might be best for us to just talk about the zoning case at this point. And I think that Hanel has discussed it individually with some of the people there.
Excellent, because I see a large number of support. And I understand that if we get a report from the second meeting that has some fluff in it, I don't want it to discourage the support, because this is impressive to see this many people supporting a project such as this.
I agree.
Just a couple of bullet points about the questions that were asked. A couple of bullet points I can talk about that was asked. For to set this hotel a little bit different, it does have kitchenette rooms, so it has a little stove and stuff that they could stay a little bit longer if they need to. That no one of the hotels has that currently. Also, with the plan that we're proposing, just currently there are specifically only 12 trees. For reference, we will be planting more than 150 trees. So not even a sunlight can go through.
Okay. And yeah, I look forward to seeing that. But I also want to make it clear, because I had received some communication as well about that meeting, and any hostility that was reported to me was not because of you, but was directed at you, from what I heard. And I want to make sure that's clear to folks listening. And, you know, I want to apologize for any way that you may have been mistreated.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. We do have some public comments tonight, once they clear the podium. Just for those of you who have not been here before, just remember to keep your comments respectful, direct them to the board. The board does not respond to comments. You have 3 minutes to speak. So we will begin with Scott Brumley. You have 3 minutes.
My name's Scott Brumley. I'm here to voice my support for the zoning request. Not so much to speak about the zoning regulations, that's not my expertise, but just to give some texture to the people behind the project. My family has been in this area for multiple generations, but I haven't known PM that long, only a quarter of a century. Going back to when my son Taylor and Hannah were in kindergarten, and at Huntersville Elementary School. And the first time I met PM was when PM was picking up Hannah on a play date with my son Taylor when they were in kindergarten. Over this period of time, I've gotten to know the family. I know them to be very close, very hardworking, very successful, traits that I admire. I know that over their long career, they've been very successful at what they've done. And I know that this project will be an asset to the town. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Yakun Wang. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, good evening. I'm different from Scott. I'm coming to Huntersville only 2 years. I'm really like this community and the town. So I really believe, I'm so excited a Hilton coming our town. So I really believe if everything going good, like the man mentioned, we have more sales tax. They will help our town and the community building better and better. Like the intersection, the road building a long time. I believe the big subject, they need a huge money. So we really need a new business coming to help us building our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Sagur Malia. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sagar Malia. I'm here to show support for PM and his family. I've known them for over 2 decades, and I just want to keep this short and simple by just saying I support them. That's it.
Thank you. Jital Patel. Also have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to support PM Patel. I reviewed his project. It's really benefit to the town of Huntersville, and I have full support for that project and looking forward for other people's support as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Dinesh Patel.
Hello, everyone. Some of you I met before. I'm in Huntersville in business for over 25 years. I support this project because I was planning to do this project many years ago. But due to some health reason, I didn't do it. But this whole project will add a lot of value to our Huntersville community. I live in Huntersville for a long time. So I'm in a big support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Atish Modi.
Hello, good evening.
My name is Mitesh Parikh, and I'm a friend with PM Patel. And I guess this is a very good idea to put the high-end hotel in Huntersville. It will bring a lot of business too, a lot of jobs too. Thank you.
The next handwriting I cannot read. It is a name that starts with a B and possibly a T, and is Aldbury Lane. If you live on Aldbury Lane, you're up. And then you're going to have to translate your handwriting for me. You didn't write very neatly. I'll just say that as a school teacher.
Sorry, I wasn't sure I was supposed to speak here, so. So, my name starts with B, Bhaskar, last name Tripathi, and I have been living in Huntersville since last 25 years, and I have seen this town becoming a little bit city kind of thing now, you know. And the hotel which Mr. Patel is proposing would definitely stamp that status of this town. I have known him for a long time, and my kids went to the same school where his kids went, Huntersville Elementary, from there Torrance Creek, Grand Oak. So I have seen this city grew up leaps and bounds, and this hotel will definitely do great things to the city. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Eric Johnson.
Hello, I'm Eric Johnson. I'm in support of Home 2. Been friends with Hanil and the family for a long time. Also was pretty much born and raised in Huntersville. Saw it grow into kind of the really cool downtown it is now. Used to ride my bike from my house in Vermillion all the way to the Discovery Place Kids to volunteer. And just in the last 5 years, just seeing how much it's changed is very impressive. I think just from hearing about this project today, like it sounds like it's just going to go ahead and continue to push the trajectory of the town further and further up, and I think it'll be a great addition to the community. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mitesh Patilin? No, okay. AJ Patel? I think I got it.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to be short and sweet. I support this project, and it's going to bring a lot of business in a town. And I know PM Patel for almost 20 years plus. So, thank you.
Milan Desai. M-I-L-A, I think it's an N, D-E-S-A-I, on Halcyon. Are you here? Okay, they must have left. All right, that is our last public comment. Thank you. We are going to go to item 9C. Conduct a public hearing on petition R25-11 Long Creek Retail. Mr. James.
Yes, thank you and good evening. Please enter my staff report into the record. So just a background on this rezoning, R2511. The proposal is to go from Highway Commercial Conditional District to Highway Commercial Conditional District, where that northern lot in the previous rezoning we saw last year would go from that Highway Commercial Conditional District back to the original rural district. And the changes are, it's going to be a convenience store and one smaller retail building. I think the previous plan had 2 small retail buildings. This one's just one with a gas station. On the screen, you'll see the existing conditions context map with the proposed site plan. And you can see that most of the area is fairly rural to the west and north, but there are some subdivisions coming in. And the Mosaic property to the north of this property looks to be moving forward. And again, this rezoning will convert that northern lot back to rural, as you see on the screen. The current rezoning that is in place, R801, which has never come into fruition for construction, has a drugstore at the corner and another larger retail building. This site plan condenses that down just to the corner lot at the corner of Mount Holly, Huntersville, and Beatties Ford Road, and it takes away the northern property, the single-family home, and it adds one additional retail building next to the convenience store. There is one requested modification, which is a 30-foot buffer modification to be graded. As we all know, buffers are to be kept vegetated. This one, because of some of the grading issues the applicants have found, they are asking to grade into that buffer. Same modification as the previous rezoning last year. Some concerns the staff has had through our review. With that grading of those buffers, there are 3-to-1, a questionable 2-to-1, and some lower elevation grades as well. This site stands alone. It doesn't have the ability, as proposed, to connect in the future. The most connectable site would be the one on the previous rezoning, which is the Houston property to the north that faces Mount Holly, Huntersville Road. There is not currently a way to connect to that. There's a retaining wall on the site, and there is a 3-to-1 grade difference in that area. There's also a side path along Mount Holly, Huntersville Road. As you see on the screen, it does not connect all the way to the property line. That is a requirement to extend all the way to that property line. So we're asking the applicants how they would like to proceed with that, whether it's a modification not to put it in, or if they want to grade off-site due to some of those elevations. But we need to work on that at the planning board meeting. There are also some questionable tree save details that we're working with the applicants to resolve. And these are some of the blown up buffers. The one at the top you see is from the entrance road to the Houston property along Mount Holly, Huntersville Road. As you see, there's quite a bit of grade there for the proposed grade. And if that site to the north did develop, there would not be a way to connect to that driveway. In Huntersville, we're always looking for interconnectivity. On the previous rezoning, that driveway went through and then added the public road to the Mosaic property. This one obviously does not have that because the Houston property is not a piece of this. And then the one on the bottom is right next to the gas station. It also has some steep grade and some elevation to the northern property, and it wouldn't be able to be connected as proposed with the retaining walls as well, seen on the screen. And this just shows a blown up picture of the proposed 10-foot side path that does not connect all the way to the property line. So we'll need to resolve that moving forward. Here's the same elevations as the previous rezoning. Staff is in favor of the elevations. The one on the top is for the convenience store, and then the other one is the additional retail building. Moving to the 2040 community plan, you see this is in a activity center for the future land use character area. It's also surrounded by the rural area. However, the activity center does allow for intensification, and that is within the Long Creek Village Activity Center, and that does call for an urban village. A big part of that small area plan, the Beatties Ford Road and Mount Holly Huntersville Road small area plan, was connectivity and adding connectivity so the urban village is all connected and integrated. As proposed, this site is by itself. There's not a way to connect. Because of that, it does not support LU 6, 7.1, 8.2, and then we still have some questions about the tree canopy. Hopefully we can work those out moving forward at the next meeting. It does support LU 5.1, intense uses to be directed at areas that can be served currently, which is 2 major thoroughfares, and the utilities are already all there. And then staff recommendation, because of the lack of ability for connectivity, staff does not at this time recommend approval, as the plan is not consistent with LU 6, 7.1, 8.2, EOS4, and T3. The applicant is here. They have a short presentation, but if you have questions just directed towards me, I'm here to answer those. Otherwise, they have a presentation.
Any questions for staff? Okay, we'll hear from the, oh, sorry, Commissioner Dumas.
Sorry, I didn't have my hand in
Move
obvious.
fast enough.
I know. Can you remind us, did staff approve of this project the last time around?
Staff was recommending approval if Phase 2 was brought into Phase 1, which added that connection and the public road.
Okay, thank you.
But that was a question moving forward, so we didn't get to that point.
All right, we'll hear from the petitioner.
We are here for this particular rezoning request. We were here roughly 7.5 months ago with 2 phases, as staff mentioned earlier. And because we eliminated Phase 2, we were able to come back with additional request of rezoning of the property for just the service station. Realizing and understanding that normally you're not able to come back for at least a year in that opportunity, but if you do extensive changes to your plan, it allows you to come back, and that's where we are. Because we've taken almost 2/3 of the previous proposal away from this plan. So we're now in with one building that is the convenience store for the service station, and an additional building for retail, some kind of restaurant facilities, or any kind of workspace that will fit in the roughly 5,600 square feet in the second building. We were asked by staff to eliminate the Houston property, which was Phase 2, out of our rezoning at this time because the Houstons did not want to develop their property. They have not got a buyer. They have no idea what their property is going to be in the future because no one has come to them and offered anything different than what was put in the original rezoning request roughly 8 months ago. We're now here, and staff has pointed out that there is no connectivity for this particular piece of property. If you have visited the site, to the rear of this property is extremely uphill elevation. I'm talking in the neighborhood of 200 feet height-wise from Mount Holly Holmesville Road to the backside of this property in terms of the property that is adjacent to us in the back. There is a pipeline to the east of us that we cannot even touch. If we go to the north onto the Houston property, it travels uphill 30 to 40 feet, and when we were going to do the building of both Phase 2 and 1, originally, we were going to be able to use part of the dirt off of Phase 2 and leveling out the backside of ours to allow for elevation changes. But because we're not able to get onto the Houston property, it will not allow us to do any grading to make a connection. And what happens If we were to do that, we would have to grade into their property some 50 to 75 feet, just depending on the elevations, and the Houstons do not want that. They wanted to go back to the original zoning, which was in 2008, which is what staff has requested. So they're out of this picture all total. We have agreed to put an easement, and if you look at the picture behind you, those two dots, or those two lines that go across, yeah, right in there. If you go across that, that's where the easement would be for the Houston property for connectability later on. Now, because of the elevation of the Houston property, we must put in a retaining wall. And at some point in time, when the Houston's property is developed, the easement or right-of-way will be there for them to be able to utilize the connectivity if staff agrees at that point in time that connectability to the service station would be reasonable in the town's interest. But at this point in time, we're not anywhere near that position. If you go through a couple of more slides, this gives you the TIA improvements that we're going to do. And if we go back to the rezoning that was approximately 8 months ago, the TIA improvements were going to be $750,000, $750,000 plus. Even though we're not doing a phase 2, we're still going to do the entire TIA improvements to that intersection that will hopefully improve the traffic pattern, because it backs up from that stoplight east toward Huntersville past W.T. Harris Boulevard every morning, plus it backs up north up Beatty's Ford Road from that intersection all the way to Hopewell Presbyterian Church, which is almost 2 miles from that intersection. With us making the $750,000 worth of improvements, it will alleviate a lot of the traffic problems of people turning right or turning left, or turn lanes into Mount Holly Holmesville Road, or turn lanes going up and down Beatty's Ford Road. And of course, the proposal supports the mixed use, everything associated with it, the commercial use of the small area Long Creek plan and of the 2040 plan. This essentially shows you where an aerial view of everything's going to be done, the turn lanes, the mediums that we're putting in at state request in order to make everything work. Here is our rendering of the building. Yeah, for the drugstore that was proposed in 2008. Our building renovation, are those pictures in here?
I've showed them.
Okay. Those pictures that we showed, that Jesse showed earlier, shows the renderings of what we're going to do. Is it the next one? Yeah. And this gives you an idea of what is going to happen in the elevations of the buildings and what the facade would look like in that process. There'll be some areas within for outside public. As you can see, it runs through everything. Uh-oh, I need to back away from that one. Point being, Jeff and our engineer is here as well. Any questions that you're asking of us, between the three of us, we should be able to answer.
I think it's a question for the applicant. If memory serves, I think the first time this came around, I was in support of this project. My concern here is about the connectivity, and I don't know if we'll get an answer tonight, but I see the little area that can connect to the property, but I want to make sure that if we move forward with this, that future connectivity can happen. And Jesse, I don't know how we resolve that or build that into it. So, I mean, it's great to have an access there, but if it's not feasible to connect in the future, then it's kind of useless. So I just would encourage you to work with staff to ensure that future connectivity, because if you make all these improvements and have a nice business there, somebody's going to buy that property and put something on it. So let's make sure we can connect in the future.
Sure, absolutely. It's to our best interest to make sure the flow of traffic works well to benefit our business. We don't want to be locked in with no access to the surrounding businesses as they get developed. We did everything as the staff recommended in order to move on with this project, and we're still going to follow their recommendations, except when the topography is challengeable, when the neighbors is not cooperative. Those are things beyond our means. We have no way to enforce it. We will definitely give an easement to cross access, and that benefits us. With this, it will cover the staff concerns when it comes to accessibility and connectivity. For now, when you ask for connectivity to nowhere, it doesn't make sense for us, it doesn't make sense for the neighbor, and it doesn't make sense for the nature of the property and the topography. But going forward, as a long-term goal, yes, we will give an easement for cross-access. We will tear down any walls we built now to retain the neighbor's property from being eroded. So we will do that. When they develop it, we will remove our walls and give them the cross-access easement. So you can make the approval pending for us to grant that cross-access easement. We've been cooperative throughout the process with the plans as they recommended years back. I mean, we're going on 8th year, and this is the longest projects I've ever seen in the town of Huntersville, and hopefully this board will make an end to it and get it done. Thank you.
Jesse, do you see that as being a solution?
An easement's great, but when you have a retaining wall and a 3-to-1 grade, I'm not sure how we would build it into a condition that Jeff would be on board with having to tear it down. I don't know how that would work. I'm not an engineer, but I've never seen a retaining wall that holds up property being torn down against a existing property. I just don't know how that condition would work. So what we're asking is the site is graded so that it can be connected with the access easement as well.
Earlier, there was some comment about how high that land is above, and it was a couple hundred feet or something.
It's more about, it's from the road, it's give or take 20 to 25 feet at the property line. I think at the back of that other property, maybe 30. I think, I don't know where 200 came from, but it's more like 20,
Okay.
25.
Okay, thank you.
At the most.
This is for the applicant. I was curious, because I was in favor of this project the first time around. And I do think that the location's good right there for a gas station. But it sounds like the neighbors changed their mind. Did something happen, or like, is there some issues here? Can you help us understand this history?
Sure. Let me explain it. We have tried to go in our own way because this was originally done in 2008 when both neighbors was in agreement to sell both properties to developer who's going to develop Rite Aid or whatever drugstore back in the days. Well, over the years, ownership changed. I bought one parcel. The other owners still hold on to their parcel. They still want to build a drugstore. There is no drugstore being built around this area anymore. It's kind of out of the area, out of the picture. So we came back and we told the staff, we want to do ourselves. They said, no, you need to bring those with you. They were zoned together. They need to be rezoned together again. So they put us to marry on this project against our wells. And we accepted it. We say, fine, we will follow the staff recommendations. We'll go together into this. When we come together, the staff come in and they say, well, then we're gonna build a public road. You need to build a public road. And that public road is $400,000 that the neighbor does not have the means to do and not gonna build it. And he looked to me and said, can you build a road at $400,000? I'm already spending $700,000 on the intersection. It doesn't make sense for me to come in and build a road for you to get the projects going. So we both couldn't keep on going with this goal, and they decided to withdraw out of this, and they signed off not to be part of it. And we were happy that we are now allowed to go in our own to do it separately. The staff came back like a week before the deadline. They wanted TIA study, which we already did a TIA study not even 8 months ago. So that's $30,000 every time a TIA is done. It's not cheap to do a TIA study. And this is the third TIA we've been asked to do. When we comply with the staff and went ahead and get a TIA amendment to approve the changes. We even didn't want to bother with taking the commitment to the improvements where phase 1 and 2 would have been done. So we could have shaved $300,000 or $250,000 from the projects if we go back and say, no, we're just going to do it to match our development. We said, no, don't worry about it. We just keep moving forward. We're going to honor the TIA that recommends further and greater improvements to the road, because we don't want to going back again, being entangled up on more and more requirements. And we say we're just going to swallow that cost and go ahead and get it done. Now, for the staff to come back and tell me, go to the neighbor and tell him, you're going to cut 50 feet deep into his property, and you're going to grade his property against his well. The neighbor's not going to allow me to set a foot in his property, nevertheless grade anything in there. So don't ask me for the impossible. Anything in my hand, I'll do. But for you to come in and tell me, move the neighbor from the petition, and we hardly get them to agree to move. Now you're telling me go back to the neighbor and put a road or grade it? I cannot do it. It's not doable. And the staff keep giving us different directions every time. Thank you.
I want to commend you because it's apparent that you're trying to find a win-win. As Commissioner Wall said, when this project first came, he was in favor, and I'm the one up here that I must admit I was not in favor of the project the first time. You gave me information from the Charlotte Police just to prove a point that I had up here at the dais. I live on the west side, and to hear you say that you're willing to invest $750,000 into an intersection, that means a lot, because as Mr. Saylor said, when my wife leaves out to go to work in the mornings, bad enough she's got the traffic coming out of our property because of the Hopewell High School traffic bottles up. So sometimes we sit in that one area 10 minutes. It's not exaggerating, 10 minutes. Then when you make the left turn to go towards Mount Hollis, Huntersville Road, you have the Long Creek Elementary School traffic. And as he said, that traffic does sometimes back up almost to that church. My son just started a new job on last Monday. It's honest truth. It took him 30 minutes to get from, and we live right near Hambright Road, from Hambright Road area to Mount Holly, Huntersville Road. I think it's impressive that you're willing to invest in something you don't have to do. I hope that you are not penalized because neighbors don't want to dance. You can't force them to allow you to be on the property. But since this last project, I did speak with some people, and I may have called one of my commissioners. There's been a request for a gas station near Mount Holly, Huntersville Road, because coming from the city of Charlotte, unless you're at Sunset Road, all the way to Highway 73, there is no gas station. That's maybe 6 to 8 miles.
There's actually no gas station from I-85 to
If you're
Highway
going straight down,
73.
yes, unless you're going to turn over.
Unless you're going to turn off.
Correct. So again, that is
Not
a
on the
long
road.
stretch without a gas station. It's much needed. I've given a lot of thought to it. Once this came back to us, I did my research and started studying. I'm hoping we can find a win-win. Right now, I'm leaning and saying this is a perfect project for what we need on the area. What's most impressive, again, I said it once before and I said it again, you're willing to fix traffic. And as much as I hear people complain about traffic in Huntersville, if one really want to fix traffic, especially on the west side, this is one that we really should consider and look more into it. Thank you.
Just a thought, not relative to our project, but there is a senior housing project across the street, down about 250 feet from our property line. It's a senior living project that's being built on the city of Charlotte side of Mount Holly Holmesville Road. There is less improvements on that side of the road than we're doing on our side.
I just want to address the last couple minutes of, some of what you were saying. I'm going to be blunt and I'm going to be honest. What I heard, and I don't think this was your intention, but what I heard was a lot of blaming towards our staff. So I would like to give staff an opportunity if there's anything that they'd like to clarify. That's essentially my question.
So as far as the other applicant having to sign off, that's a requirement of a conditional rezoning. So the previous rezoning had those two property owners on it. So there's nothing staff can do about that. If you want to change the site plan, you've got to have the owners of the previous site plan on there to address that. As far as grading and connections go and last minute requests, we've been asking for this connection since the beginning of the process. The way it's graded is not what we propose. We're completely willing to work with the applicants on getting a compromise. We are in favor of the use. We're in favor of the most of the site plan. We're in favor of the elevations, but it is a big priority of the town. You see this in every rezoning, that we have connectability. And when you have an urban village proposed in an activity center, we don't know how you can approve a site that doesn't have the ability to be integrated into that urban village. You see gas stations in town that are connected to bigger villages. Rosedale has a gas station. You can get to and from it from the interior of the site. We want it to be walkable. We want it to be drivable. We don't want to add more congestion on our public streets. So those are things we've asked for from the get-go, from the previous rezoning, from the 2008 rezoning, and now. So there's nothing new there.
Yeah, and just to add regarding the TIA was done for the previous rezoning. If you want to do lesser improvements, you have to do a new study. You can't just go minus things off. You have to do a whole new study that has additional costs. Again, we gave them the options. They chose not to do that. Therefore, they're offering to do quite a bit of road improvements that they may not have had to do if they would have restudied.
Thanks. And then just one last question, just so I'm also clear, can we just do a run through again on what road improvements you are including?
Good evening, I'm Patrick Monroe. I'm the traffic engineer for the project. So on Beatty's Ford Road here, which is the horizontal street, we have a approximately 300-foot right turn lane that's being installed. This is the southbound approach to the intersection. We're also proposing to extend the left turn lane on that southbound approach as far back to the driveway that's being proposed, which is the leftover on Beatty's Ford. In addition, we have a right-in, right-out access that's going to be installed on Mount Holly Huntersville with a median to channelize the traffic. And with all these improvements, the signal would be upgraded and the timing would be improved. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We're on to item 9D, conduct a public hearing on petition R25-09, a request by Greenway Waste Solutions.
Good
Mr. Priest?
Everyone, thank you very much. I'd like to put the staff report into the record at this time. So R2509 is a conditional rezoning application from Greenway Waste Solutions to rezone their property in order to expand the landfill operation at the North Mech landfill on Holbrooks Road. And we can see the property here that's highlighted. There's several different zoning districts involved in the rezoning application. So just a little bit of background to understand where we are in this application. The landfill is regulated by Article 9.23 of our ordinance, which requires specific zoning, special purpose district rezoning for landfills, and it also requires special use permits for landfills. So back in 2016, a CD rezoning was approved and a special use permit was approved for this use, for this landfill at this location. So it's set, it had specific parameters, it had lots of conditions, and so what the applicants are looking to do is to be able to extend the life of the landfill by adding additional fill in it, and therefore that major change would require a modification or an alteration to both the conditional rezoning and the special use permit. So what we're doing right here with R2509 is the first step of amending the conditional district rezoning to allow the expansion. Next upcoming would be the special use permit application. That's not what we're looking at tonight. That would propose tentatively to come before you October 21st as a special use permit. So the special use permit, if you recall, is the kind of quasi-judicial review of the application where the effect on adjacent properties, where environmental issues are specifically looked at, evidence and testimony have to be looked at in regard to the application. That's not tonight. This is only the rezoning application to look at the landfill. So just a context map to look at. You have to the north, you've got Holbrooks Road, the single-family residential to the left. You've got the Vermilion new subdivision on the right up there. The future Vierhoff Drive is down in the dashed dotted line to the south. Commerce Station Industrial Development is to the south. And then you see the kind of white clouded area is the area in question with the landfill proposed there that goes all the way up to Holbrooks Road. And additional properties along Holbrooks Road are included in this rezoning application. So again, as mentioned, construction and debris landfills are addressed in Article 9.23 of our zoning ordinance. The landfill, North Mech landfill, has been in operation since 1993. It started out as a non-conforming use in a residential zoning district, and through the years, text amendments and rezonings allowed the landfill to expand to the point where, in again 2016, a conditional use rezoning and a special use permit were approved, giving permanent status, zoning establishment to the landfill. So for the rezoning plan, the application is looking to expand, but they're doing it in two very unique ways. One part, the first part, is the movement of a stream to the south of the property. So if you look at the upper photo there, in the dark green, you see where the current stream going through the landfill is. Let's see if I can draw on this without hurting myself. So you've got the stream that comes through here and joins Clark Creek here, right? And there's a pipe stream that comes down through here to meet that tributary and join Clark Creek going from west to east. Here is part of the active fill area where they're currently filling. To the south of the stream is a closed out fill area to the south of the stream. So what they're looking to do on the bottom photo is completely reroute and relocate the stream to connect to Clark Creek to the south. And so the stream would be removed through the landfill here. So this would be gone. And then what the landfill would come and do is they would come and fill the valley of the two fill areas and then build on top just a little bit, and then essentially have more room to fill and increase the life expectancy of the landfill. But no buildings are proposed with this application. Thank you for clearing that for me. So as part of this application, the conditional district rezoning, there are some modifications to the requirements of the ordinance. There's an existing stream, so there's existing swim buffers, stormwater and water quality buffers. So in order to move the stream, they have to disturb the stream, and therefore buffer modifications are requested. And that also, they have SP buffers, so if you're in a special purpose zone, you're required to have an 80-foot buffer around the perimeter of the landfill. And in some areas, those areas are being disturbed, some areas are not planted. So we're working with the applicant to try to figure out what areas are going to be replanted, what areas are going to be reduced, having that discussion. The third bullet point there, C&D landfill buffers, they're prohibited from filling in a stream. Technically, through this application, they're asking to do that and have permission to do that, even though the stream will be moved. So that would be a modification. And then the last one there, fencing enclosure, 9.23, requires that the active landfill be enclosed with a non-climbable fence. Now, in the last plan, in 2016, the rezoning, a modification was approved because of the isolated nature of the landfill, how things were kind of far away from it, and the topography. So staff is still working with the applicant to understand where there would be a fence and where there wouldn't be. There's a little bit of concern because there is residential neighborhoods getting closer out to the east. There's commercial development you see in the very bottom being constructed or proposed to be constructed immediately to the south. So we're just trying to understand those modification requests. One of the items we're continuing to discuss and was a discussion back in 2016 was the access on Holbrooks Road. Because currently the trucks, the going back and forth to the facility is mainly accessed through Holbrooks Road, which is somewhat of a smaller road, a residentially styled road that doesn't have the construction and the infrastructure to handle a lot of those heavy trucks. So there's been some damage and some cracks in the past where there's been a concern from NCDOT, the staff, in the community about those trucks going back and forth. So when the rezoning was approved back in 2016, there was a cap put on the usage of the road to 2034, and that at 2034, an alternate access needed to be established. The applicants committed to that. They committed to change the access if available alternative access became available earlier than 24. So that was a condition. And then the town wanted to have staff and NCDOT work together to look at the infrastructure, the condition of the road every 5 years. Again, to address and to discuss that durability discussion. So those are conditions that staff recommends at the very least be carried over to make sure that there's a deadline there. So whenever there's an alternate access to it, we can get that off, because again, it's going through residential neighborhood. It's just not quite consistent with an industrial type use access on that residential road. Site design discussions. On the top photo, you see the highlighted portion of where our updated greenway plan shows greenways. And so one is going east and west along Holbrooks Road, and then one goes north and south through the subject property, down connecting to the stream to the south, into Commerce Station and Veerhoff Drive. Those are not quite yet shown on the rezoning plan or accommodated. So we're looking to work with the applicant to have that done. Same goes for the Holbrook Road improvements in regard to sidewalk and street trees and having those accommodated for. Then if you look at the bottom right-hand side, I'm going to mention this in the next slide, I believe, but there's a proposed connector road going east and west through the property here. That was proposed in some shape or form in the East Huntersville Small Area Plan. That was approved, I think, back in 2008. And then back in 2017, there was an urban, thank you, Urban Land Institute report that was given. That was kind of a mini study that was done through the ULI Charlotte in concert with the town, looking at the development capability of Commerce Station, this area of Holbrooks, and it had a recommendation, again, to help get the traffic off of Holbrooks and to get it down south to Veerhoff, to Commerce Station Drive, to put a street through here. So the property that's proposed to be rezoned includes this area. So staff is looking to accommodate that connection, and we're working with the applicant to do so. Mentioned the ULI study. One of the other recommendations in that, as well as the East Huntersville Small Area Plan, was to have that residential theme on Holbrooks Road be maintained. And so the rezoning plan that's submitted doesn't necessarily show what type of uses are going to be rezoned and what kind of development would be along Holbrooks. So to stay consistent with that, those plans that we've had in the past, we're looking for some kind of residential accommodation immediately on Holbrooks. The 2040 plan, the area is kind of multi-recommended. You see the purple area has a recommendation for employment center that's consistent with the Commerce Station Industrial Park, consistent with warehousing, consistent with that type of use. So there's consistency there. The green, the park and open space for the property to the west of the landfill, that was in the past owned by the town of Huntersville, and that was sold. Therefore, the ULI study kind of did an update and recommended that area be developed as kind of similar to the Commerce Station. So that's that, but up on Holbrooks Road, that area in the yellow and orange is the medium density residential. Again, keeping that theme of Holbrooks Road is kind of a residential area to keep that theme. So that's consistent through most all of our plans. So 2040 plan, consistent policies, utilizing the future land use map. Again, most of those character areas are certainly consistent. Looking to have clarification with the applicant along Holbrooks Road to make sure that remains residential, and then that policy will be met. EOS 5, the environmental quality of the stream, protecting water quality. We feel that that is going to be a good thing as well. So, you know, taking that stream and relocating it out of the middle of a landfill is going to be a good thing for the water quality of that stream, right? So that's a beneficial issue that we think is going to be consistent. I gotta apologize for the little straight purple line there. I don't know where that came from. So there's consistencies there. Things that we're working on, things to work on as far as the policies. Again, Land Use Policy 5.1 talks about focusing more intense development in locations that can support growth. We're currently still in the situation where we're using Holbrooks Road as a main access for the facility. So that's not compatible, right? That can support the growth. And we can, as we see in the staff report, and we've discussed that. 8.2, excellent design, still working with the applicant on site design issues that go over and above the minimums of the state, minimums of the town. Lane use 11, again, the issue of Holbrooks Road. So the one that we are working on too, and is gonna kind of get into these issues during the special use permit discussion, is there is some contamination at the landfill in regard to surface water and groundwater contamination. So moving the stream and putting more fill on top of where contamination currently is a question in regard to how to make sure that that existing contamination is not either spread or worsened. right? So the special use permit is going to have that discussion where there's documentation, there's evidence, there's testimony that needs to be submitted to show that those things will not be worsened and spread. So we're looking for the special use permit to answer those questions. Staff recommendation, staff recommends in approval of the concept of the stream relocation. Again, moving the stream out from the middle of a landfill, extending the life of a landfill has a lot of benefits, so we're looking forward to that. But there are outstanding questions in the site design for the rezoning plan that we'd like to update. We'd like to talk about the environmental issues in the SUP application and get those taken care of. But with those, we would recommend approval, but right now we do not recommend approval. And the applicant is here. They have a presentation, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have of me at this time.
Questions for staff? Commissioner Hunt?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one question and clarification from part 2. You have here that NCDEQ 401 permit for stream disturbance mitigation was approved, as well as the wetland disturbance mitigation was approved. And so just to be clear, that's approving the ability to purchase the mitigation credits, right?
Correct. So that is for specifically, and we kind of mentioned the two parts of the application. You've got the movement of the stream, and you've got the fill, additional fill in where the old stream was, right? So the 401 and the 404 permit is the literal disturbance of the existing swim buffer area and the permission from the state to do that and giving those mitigation credits for that. So that's all that's that about. So they're on the process of getting permission from the state to move the stream, and that's it. That's where they've gotten so far.
Right, but they don't have it yet, the permission to move the stream.
Not completely.
Right, okay,
Not completely, but they're on the road for that.
okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, we'll have the petitioner.
Thank you. My name is Mike Griffin with Griffin Brothers Company. First, I just want to thank the town board and the town staff and leaders for your time and dedication to the town. It doesn't go unnoticed that we're getting late in the night. My name's, again, Mike Griffin. Diversified Family Business has its deep roots in North Mecklenburg, and my father in '61 started it. Also, my grandmother used to work at Long Creek Elementary in the '50s, '60s, '70s as the cafeteria manager. Her name was Mama Nell, so she taught us the value of Luke 12:48. So we are proud of our history of investing in the community and in the Carolinas with that. I'm really here to talk, well, why are we here? So obviously, Greenway Waste Solutions has been entrusted with the management of construction waste in North Mac for almost 4 decades, and that we don't take that lightly. We're delighted to announce the opportunity to continue this responsibility for additional 4 decades while staying within the same footprint and improving the site's environmental stewardship for generations to come. And Brad's correct, there's a lot of moving parts there, and I'll try to quickly go through this to hit some. I'd like to first start, what is Greenway Waste Solutions? We specialize in just construction and demolition waste. And that's, materials you find in new construction, and obviously sometimes demolition that's been permitted, that's doesn't have asbestos and lead paint, we can take that as well. We also are very proud of our MRF. In 2016, as Brad mentioned, we got this approved. We have a material recovery facility, or MRF, where we can divert waste from our facilities and have a beneficial use of reprocessing that, and proud of that process. I'll play most of this, but as you can see, it's a pick line. So basically, we're picking out materials that we can recycle and reprocess and bring value to, in addition to rock crushing and wood grinding. So how do we fit in the community? And we talked about this a good bit, super excited, but this is just a kind of regional map. This goes back almost 30 years ago when I helped found the Lake Norman EDC with the 3 towns that bought what's now Commerce Station. And we had this vision, still to have the vision, where if you look at the east side regional, Brighton's kind of mixed use. This is where job creation, industrial, and buffer. We supply good buffer. And as Brad mentioned, a lot of development with Vermillion and north, and some coming east. So that's kind of where we fit into that. We're very proud of our relationship with Holbrooks Road Community Association. 25 years ago, we helped take the Pottstown legacy family specific to Holbrooks Road and created a partnership with them where we share revenues and also share services to help them. We just surpassed $1 million over the last 25 years with the families. Originally, it was 25 families, but there has been, it's less now. So we re-signed our agreement on occasion, most recently 2020. There's now 13 families. In addition to sharing of revenue, we also share responsibility to maintaining lawns for senior citizens and disabled, and also anytime there's repairs to their house. I was very happy to get this from Ms. Hampton, the current chairperson of Holbrooks Road, basically highlighting the commitments that we've had over these 25 years and plan to continue to have where we're still in Holbrooks. Road partnership, I'm not going to really get too deep in this except to say that we recognize we should not be on Holbrooks. We've always recognized that. And in the year 2000, we paid for the Veerhoff Extension Drive study in hopes that could be our solution. It still could be our solution at some point, but over time, Commerce Station has evolved to where Commerce Station Drive is a possibility, as you'll see. But just in summary, we have paid over $400,000 for road improvements since we've been on Holbrooks. And our customers who bring the debris to us, we did an estimated of the life. They contribute $4 million specific to the vehicles of the waste that they bring to us, not to the whole regional. So we and our customers have done a good job contributing to commitment to improving the roads. Also, often area heights can be an issue. The unique topography, there are natural areas that are 820 to 840 feet that are almost a stone's throw from our property. So that's why our property is not really visible from other areas unless you're really directly in front of it on Holbrooks. And just a point of reference, the Southwire Towers is 1250 to give you a point of reference of height. Why is Greenway vital for North Meck? We know one of the bigger things is just the forecasted growth. I mean, the last almost 4 decades, we've been busy growing, and there's a projection of our region growing 400 new residents between 2020 and 2040. And if you look at this heat map, a lot of it's coming north. And I guess that makes sense. Growing up as a kid in the northwest part of the county, the south side seemed to grow quicker. And if you look now, south has kind of grown, and the future growth is probably more north to serve what's going on in the projections. So kind of the what if we're not there, and how do construction and demolition of landfills work? Well, there's 2 in the county. The county itself runs one called Foxhole and Ballantyne, and of course us in Huntersville. The way haulers work, they have 1 container at a house. They have to pick up that 1 container, bring it to landfill, then go back. That does not, in household garbage pickup, they do the whole neighborhood and then go to facility. So it's very important to have facilities close to where high growth is, like we have here in Huntersville. And therefore, it does minimize truck traffic, air pollution. So what would happen if we're gone? And my staff, I need to credit Jared for this. He's way fancier than me with PowerPoint. But as you can see here, if we go away, there's 2 other facilities outside of the county, one in Lincoln that's got 7 years capacity, and ours in Harrisburg that has more. If we go away, there's a lot of more heavier impact on key roads that you can see here. And as you can see, that fancy truck, they would have to go to either Foxhole or to Harrisburg, knowing that Lincoln will soon close. And I won't hit all these numbers, but basically the estimated traffic would be over 2 million additional pounds of CO2 emitted because of them having to go further to manage the waste. So what is next for Greenway and Commerce Station in general? And super excited about a few things. This is, a lot's going to happen on this map. The one thing I want to talk about, cell tower, the town approved this a while back. The cell tower is up. AT&T would be the first carrier there. I think a lot of folks in Vermilion and around the community would be happy to know that, as we're excited. Verizon and T-Mobile will soon follow, but AT&T will be the first in the coming months. Future roads, we help pay for the Veerhoff Drive extension to know where that's going to go, in hopes that could be our solution for a future road for us. But I also want to talk about, and just the north-south connector that Brad mentioned, and it showed in magenta the part that we've already agreed to give away right away for free when that road comes to help accelerate the growth of that. And of course, to the east, Asbury Chapel extension. But the unnamed tributary that runs through our property manages about 350 acres of stormwater. And I wanted to kind of highlight what our plans is. As Brad mentioned, we want to abandon the piped part of the stormwater that goes under cell 2, and then the one that goes between cell 1 and cell 2, as you'll see, those will be abandoned. And actually, technically, to be correct, it's already been approved. The Corps of Engineers and state have approved that, the 401 and 404. So we could move it, assuming that this all is happened. We obviously can't financially move it. We couldn't do it unless what we call cell 3 is approved. But if we are able to, fortunate enough to get cell 3 approved, the creeks would be built around the landfill instead of through it. Then that'll allow us, as you can see, what we call cell 3. We'll be able to put that on there. Now, the other big topic for 25 years is trying to get off Holbrooks Road. Super excited to announce tonight that we have a path. Recently, the town approved a development on the Long property that's adjacent to our property. And as you can see, the road infrastructure, at the end of Commerce Station Drive, they'll build roads that will accommodate and go to our property. And we will move our scale house to that side. So if our traffic will come over the Veerhoff Bridge onto Commerce Station Drive and come in that way. So we'll be able to completely abandon Holbrooks Road. The only use of Holbrooks Road would be for fire emergency. There would be no other traffic employees or customers. So we're super excited about that. That's been a subject for 25 years. As Brad mentioned too, we've participated in the ULI studies of past, including the 2017. And our property, the property in yellow is what we own and control. As you can see, there's a couple parcels within that. And the ones to the left is a subdivision that was never developed. And Ms. Caldwell and I were brainstorming. I think it was back in the 60s that was approved, or maybe 70s. It's been never developed. We look forward to working for the individual families that own those parcels, plus the two, with the hope we can do a collaborative brainstorming master plan to be consistent with the 2017 ULI. This could be affordability and this could be market rate. This is something that we would look forward to working with the town and the staff and what the public would want. What our hope would be a collaborative master plan where that's all worked out together. And I'm super excited about this. The ULI study did talk about greenway trails running from the tributary that we would redirect and then hitting the Cane Creek Greenway tributary, the Cane Creek Greenway to go up. We think we have a much better plan, and this was talked about at the ULI in 2017. We're super excited to support that. The big problem I see with this is that you're taking pedestrians walking in a trail right in the middle of an industrial park. There's got to be a better solution, and we're convinced the solution is to abandon a portion of the Cane Creek and really take it down Holbrooks Road. And that would connect the Waymer Fields with the fly field and connect to Cane Creek. And more importantly, the legacy families that are there, especially the whole Pottstown, there's a lot of deficiency in sidewalks, as Ms. Caldwell mentioned earlier. This would be a 10-foot wide multimodal path to connect the parks and connect to the creek. And we can do this way faster. We would do this as we develop this property. And we would anticipate starting to develop this property really in conjunction as we get off Holbrooks. So that would be something that we really look forward to sooner than later. There's a lot on that map. I, of course, look forward to any questions. But as you can see, we're filling within two facilities, the closed landfill on the right, the one we're working on the left. And we would start at the bottom of that, and over 40 years, we would fill up in between. So it's basically utilizing the existing footprint, not going outside the footprint. The creek would go around and outside the footprint. But this is but most unique, most complex. Brad has been very generous with his time because it is a very complex process. I did want to touch on the environmental preservation enhancement. This will be discussed in much more detail during the SUP process. And also, we're working very closely with DEQ and anticipate a lot more refined information to share with you in that October hearing. But I just want to hit a few highlights. Groundwater is tested twice a year per regulations. The interesting thing about this area in the Piedmont, groundwater only moves 5 feet per year. So if there is some situation, we have a minimum 200-foot buffer from waste to our property line. It gives you an estimated 40 years to remediate that problem. We have had a problem before. About a decade ago, we had a constituent that came about, and we went through a pretty extensive process to remediate it for methane extraction. And also, during that time, out of abundance of caution, we added water to our 3 closest neighbors, a house that we own, and Mr. Tinsley's here and his wife and the Hamill family. We added city water to make sure that there's an extra buffer of safety. And we continue to manage that, and we continue to subsidize the water bills as we have gone forward for this last decade. But the good news, that constituent is now below regulatory standards. But there has been some recent ones, that new man-made chemicals that are coming around, new things that DEQ requires us to test. And we're working closely with DEQ and Regenesis, and we'll get much more detail in the SUP with that. But I know because of slowness moving of groundwater, the constituents in question are 600 feet from our property line. So it'd be 120 years before it would actually leave our property. The big thing we're talking to doing, this is we're communicating with DEQ as we get started with them, is voluntarily capping cell 1 and cell 2 with synthetic cap, and then voluntarily installing a synthetic liner for the new infill we call cell 3. I won't go into much detail, but it's a geomembrane, lots of management, lots of leachate collection. The water is basically collected like a bathtub and treated, and when it's all said and done at the end, a cap is put on with geomembrane with protective cover soil, topsoil, and cover vegetation. So it's a very extensive process that we'll do. Rusty Roselle, this is kind of sad. Unfortunately, he passed not long after this email on May 6th. Rusty had been with the county water for Mecklenburg County water quality for decades and had been working closely with us since 2016. He's the one that really came up with working the creek around the property instead of through it. And really, to his credit, I'm sad that he's not here, but we were blessed with his email just saying that he saw the benefit of this surface water quality in the stream, as Brad mentioned too, that the town staff sees that benefit. The Riverkeeper, since 2016, has also been very involved. And instead of reading the whole two-page letter, it's just basically they enthusiastically support the changes which will remove the possibility of pipe failure, which is what we mentioned, and provide on-site stream remediation. Because he's very involved to know that the new stream will be improved much from the past and also accommodate future growth. That's a lot to digest, but the summary is that we have already got the state and federal creek redirection approvals. That's separate from the DEQ process, and it's really separate from this approval process, but that check mark is happening. Of course, now is the start of the town of Huntersville approval, so if we're fortunate enough to go forward and have the SUP and have that approved, then we'll start really digging deep with DEQ. And just a reminder, DEQ is a well-run organization. Back in 2007, they created a tax to help properly fund that, and that's worked well. But they're providing science-based, environmental stewardship for the health and prosperity of North Carolinians, and we look forward to continue to work with them. So in conclusion, the presentation highlights, we're the very first C&D landfill in North Carolina, so we kind of sometimes are the ones that try to be out front with solutions. And I'll just conclude with the fifth, in that we look forward to improving the long-term environmental stewardship of our facility. And of course, we'll be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Walsh.
Thank you. You must have known what my first question was going to be about, which is Holbrooks Road. Right now, you're capped at 2034, so you mentioned coming in off of Veerhoff and moving the, whatever that facility is called, off of, when's that going to happen?
Yes, sir. So by previous SUPs, we're required to be off Holbrooks within a year when we have a solution. So that's currently how it is. What I would anticipate, the development of this new cell will take a few years. So even if we started, let's say, in January, it'd take at least 2.5 years to prepare that to go. The developer who got approved recently, I haven't talked to them in a month or two, but I think they're full steam ahead. They plan to put their roads in so we can tie off that road.
Is this Commerce Station South, I think?
Yeah, it was the big warehouse development,
Yeah.
Commerce Station, that was proposing to do that. So I think they're trying to get construction plans in, but it's a proposed development at this time.
So hypothetically, let's say something happened to that. You have to be off Holbrooks by 2034.
Yes, sir. We anticipate at least by 2030.
Okay.
But I would anticipate sooner. There's a lot of moving parts, and we do have a backup offer for that long track. So if that developer goes away, we do plan to buy that property, which would then guarantee the path to there.
Okay.
So that'll all get resolved by November as far as them buying it or us buying it.
So 100% we're sunsetting traffic on Holbrooks Road by 2034, right?
Well, yes, sir. That's already in code.
Yep.
But we would anticipate having the ability to get off Holbrooks by 2030.
Okay. And then the fencing thing. There's fencing, there's supposed to be 10-foot non-climbable, there's some, there's not others. Can you just kind of walk us through
Certainly, and Brad hit it correctly. This is a very remote section, and there's a lot of wildlife that travels through there. So the fencing is actually kind of a wildlife issue to inhibit where they're going. Honestly, it actually pushed the wildlife more into neighborhoods than it does now. And you just can't get to our property. If somebody was trying to illegally dump, there's just no way. They'd have to have a helicopter to get in there. And as we mentioned, that topography, it can go from 620 to 840, in a really rapid way. And so there's really no need for fence, and it would actually be a detriment to wildlife.
So Brad, do you feel there's a need for fence? I mean, I'm just want to make sure we're all on the same page here.
I think the first step is to just get the plan to show where there's going to be fence and where there's not.
Okay.
And then having that discussion of, okay, the topography makes it impractical for anybody, children who are playing nearby, who wants to go in the creek and then up a mountain, right? So that's the discussion. I think that's what we're looking for right now, is just to update the plan.
Okay. And then you mentioned something about greenways, and I know in the staff report it talked about building a 10-foot side path down Holbrooks. Is that tied into what you were talking about?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're convinced that the time is now to start looking to do the residential development on Holbrooks, assuming we're off of Holbrooks. I think the first step, we have to be off Holbrooks first. When that happens, we look forward to working with some of the legacy families to brainstorm with the highest and best use. It could be affordability, it could be some hybrid. That's a lot of discussion that we need to have. So I think however we can do it within this SUP, because the SUP lets us kind of put things in law. We're willing to recognize that should be developed residentially, then we're willing to participate with the town and neighborhood leaders to figure out what that is.
We good? Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Bursman?
And I'm not sure if this was on one of the slides, and we went over it quickly, I apologize. But can you tell me a bit, like right now, with the C&D waste, like how many tons each month are going through your facility?
Yeah, so I think we're just north of 100,000 tons a year, typically Monday through Friday and a half day on Saturdays.
Okay, so 100,000 a year.
Yes.
And how would that change with this proposal? It would stay the same, or?
Yeah, so our volume really depends on local growth. The way haulers work is they have to go pick up the debris from the home or the business, and they take it to the closest facility in proximity. So we're pretty much get all of North Mex waste, whereas Foxhole gets all of South Mex waste. Our Harrisburg facility does get some from a portion of Mecklenburg, but mainly Cabarrus. And then Lincoln County has a landfill that takes most of the waste on that side of the lake. So it's because of proximity. It just depends on growth. If Huntersville slows down, our volume slows down. If Huntersville speeds up, the volume will speed up. I was going to go to a map, but I'll just leave it on that.
So while you're looking for that, and this is not my expertise area, so I don't know if this is a stupid question or not, but do you have like an idea of like what your max capacity could be currently?
Yes. So right now, we're probably at approximately, depending on MRF use, we're anywhere from 4 to 8 years left in capacity. So if we have no approvals, we'll be off the road by 2035 because we have no capacity. And that's kind of how that would work. This cross-section kind of gives you a feel. This infill is about 3 million tons, and that's expected, based on our history, about 40 years of managing North Mex waste. The other thing is the MRF. If there's products that come from construction that have a higher value, that would be ability to extend the life of the landfill too, because that would be extracted and reprocessed to some other beneficial use. And we have, and in particular, John Brown, who's my CO, has been working hard on looking for solutions to divert waste into alternative uses. And we love to see Commerce Station maybe at some point have a facility to help take the waste that we have and reprocess it.
Okay, thanks. And I think most of my other questions have to wait for the SUP. So thanks.
Mr. Hunt?
Can we get a copy of this presentation, please?
Certainly. Yeah, Brad has the PowerPoint. And I've got That was the first time I got it to 15 minutes. I was kind of proud. I missed it by 10 seconds. But I've got a video presentation I'll send that says this. It took 20 minutes, though.
So I see in the staff report where you held a community meeting on the 4th of August. And I know that there were some residents that were there that were in the Vermillion neighborhood. I'm not quite sure if the residents of Pottstown, I know that you stated that 600 feet from your property, so it could be over 100 years for any type of, for anything to happen. We pray nothing happens. But are you willing to meet with some of the residents that are concerned in the Pottstown community in regards to any contamination or anything?
Yes, yeah. Matter of fact, I had a 30-minute conversation with Ms. Caldwell.
I'm sure.
We love to argue. I think we're both stubborn. No, it was wonderful to catch up. I hadn't talked to her in a few years. So, yeah, I got her new mobile number, and I actually sent her that 20-minute presentation because she said she wasn't going to stay. But, yeah, I've always tried to work with her, and I've done, here and there, when she's asked for some favors of maybe putting down gravel and doing some other things, we've done that. We have a committed focus for the residents on Holbrooks, but we've also done other things when asked.
And I want to commend you on that. Thank you. I also learned that you have also been a scholarship fund as well for the residents on Holbrook as well, so.
I don't know that I can take credit for that, except that we've encouraged that. We've contributed the $1 million, and we've done that through basically 2 checks a year, so 50 checks. The Holbrooks Road Association makes those decisions, but we're very proud of some of the thank you letters we've received from some of the students. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you. We're good. Thank you, Mr. Priest. We are on to item 10A, consider approving update to the police salary ranges. Chief Brian Vaughn.
I don't believe it either. Thank you, Mayor. First, for sure, for all, yeah. Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for the time to present tonight. I wanted to come to you guys and update you about our salary ranges and talk about some adjustments that we need to make to be more effective in our recruiting and our retention and the future of the agency. So the challenge right now is there's rising competition from the neighboring agencies, all of these in-county and counties that touch us. The increase in cost of living in the region, and then officer retention challenges, losing officers to lateral positions at other agencies due to the pay. Recruitment has become quite difficult for experienced officers, and I have a slide in a couple pages where we're kind of down in the 4, 5, 6 range in pay in our region. The national average right now is about 15% vacancy rate, 12 to 15% vacancy rate nationwide, and metropolitan areas tend to trend higher in that aspect. In North Carolina, 23% of the agencies in North Carolina are over 20% vacancy rate right now. We're hovering around 25% vacancy, so we're at a time where we really need to step up our recruiting. Our current salary, this is a landscape in our region. I listed us first, and then you can kind of see how that pans out down below. We have done well over the years of keeping up with everybody around us, and historically we've been number 2 behind CMPD in our region. And we have also, 2 years ago, we managed to recruit 9 CMPD officers to come to our agency. But again, we've kind of hit this level spot again where we've kind of fallen back to where we're 4 or 5 on the list. You can see some of the other aspects that have happened here as far as the other departments' raises. Tonight, what I'm going to be presenting to you is just step 1 in this process. I think that we will end up being very competitive, but I think that is also short-lived, and we'll need to continue to look at this. And the management has been very proactive with me over the last few weeks of identifying what we can do today. The impact right now on increasing our starting salary and the salary of the existing officers is that the starting salary now is presenting us some challenges with our open vacancies. We have a fair amount of people applying now that are coming to us to go to recruit school or go to rookie school. When they attend this class, this class is pushing 6 months now, and so the effective time that we can get a brand new police officer on the street is going to be 10 months at minimum. And so we really are wanting to focus our attention on the lateral moves from outside agencies with experience to come to Huntersville PD. When there's the perception that our pay is lagging behind that of peers, somebody that's working at Huntersville PD right now and they know officers at other departments that are relatively close, or they've left for other departments that are relatively close with higher pay, that obviously contributes to existing pay, morale issues surrounding pay. This also then impacts my ability to be able to do lateral assignments and filling open positions that are currently in the agency that include our traffic division, our investigators, and our school resource, the new elementary school resource officers. That also impacts being able to move people into those assignments, having the openings. Just briefly on the impact also, we talk occasionally on attainable and affordable housing. Right now, our officer rate of officers that live in town is 30%. 20 years ago, it was 70%. 70% of our staff and our police officers lived in the town of Huntersville. Yes, we do take-home cars. They do have take-home cars that goes 40 miles, and it gives them the ability to drive and be able to get the housing that is sufficient for them. But I think the 30% is a telling number of that our police officers are seeking residents outside of the town for affordability. And then neighboring pay impacts recruiting. The example I give for this is potential officers are actually driving through jurisdictions that are paying more, and what would give them the ability to not stop there and continue on to Huntersville? What can we drive to get those officers to pass through those areas that are paying more and are more competitive before they come to Huntersville? So the solution I have tonight, at least today's solution, and step one in this solution, is increasing the starting pay to a competitive level with the surrounding agencies. But more importantly than that, I want to recognize the hard work that our officers do on a daily basis. You've seen the last 2 weeks of how our department has really come together, and that's telling of the family atmosphere that we're really trying to instill in our people. And so it's very important that we also address our internal pay and ensure that we adjust the current salaries to match that of the starting pay increasing. Again, I anticipate that this will include our lateral entry recruitment. I anticipate that it will also improve our retention. It will reduce the turnover and the training rates, because as long as we keep the people, we're not having to retrain new people that are coming in the door and teaching them the Huntersville way. This also presents a higher morale for our staff. That in turn turns into people that will take care of the community more so than what they are now. And then it also gives us an improved lateral recruitment pool. I've been asked occasionally in the past, like, where have we lost officers to? And I think in the last 18 months, it's actually like 50-50. About half of our officers have actually left policing completely and have gone to the private sector for whatever their reason is. And the other half have sought other agencies for a myriad of reasons, pay being one of those things. And I think it's important to also address that the appeal of getting into police work is not the same as it was 20 years ago. And so we're battling for a smaller pool of people, and we're battling for the people that want to make lateral entry to our department to make a better life for them and their families, which is what a lot of people come to Huntersville for. And so this will increase or improve our lateral recruitment pool for my recruiting staff. So my ask tonight is to increase our pay from that $56,200-ish to a flat $61,000. What this does is actually takes our starting pay to number one in the region for today. I anticipate that this is step one in various things that myself and the management are continuing to look at as far as some of the benefits and things that come along with this job. So I think it makes an impact today, but I think that as soon as this dust settles, places like Charlotte, who we will be more than, will also be competing. It's a very limited pool of people that are coming into police work now, so we really need to get the people here. So with this, we'd also adjust our existing pay scales and increase all existing sworn staff to increase of $4,800. You'll see that it would have a current budget implication of $425,000. It actually doesn't impact anything as far as having to take away from anything else or cut any training budget or do anything else as far as my budget is concerned. So there's no existing budget implications. 2 years from now, or 2027, 2028, we may look at that, and it may be something that impacts the budget. But we will continue to grow as the town grows. And so with that, that's my ask. And if anybody has any questions or if Mr. Roberts has anything he needs to add, thank you.
Chief did a great job. Obviously, we support this. Management supports, has been working with the chief on this, and even Chief Graham when he was here. So this is something we need to do. That's why it's before you tonight.
Chief Vaughn, when you hire and recruit and train, a new officer, and then they leave, what is the cost of that? Like, how much is the cost to train a new person?
Year one, you're looking at a $125,000, $135,000 investment in year one alone. And so, that just compounds itself as you continue to add training to that officer and that experience to that officer. There's not really a finite number I could put on years 2, 3, and 4, but year one is significant to me. And so occasionally you have people that are in rookie school that don't make it, that we've hired. And occasionally you have people that don't make it through field training. But year one, 125 to 135 is a significant investment. You can imagine after 4 or 5 years of the training that we've spent to send people to the specialized training that they get, it has a big impact on us.
Hey, Chief Vaughn.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the $4,800, that's across everything. I was just wondering, what's the rationale for that versus, say, like a percentage increase? That would vary depending on, salary.
Sure. I think that the $4,800 is the difference between the existing starting pay and going to $61,000. And I'm afraid if we get into percentages that, there's going to be people that don't get as significant of a raise as the person, given a flat $4,800 to all sworn staff is equal to everybody then at that point. If you look at the percentages, obviously somebody that's been here longer, it's a smaller percentage when that happens, but when you have a flat rate that somebody can look at, 5% to me may not be the same as 5% to a patrol officer that's also watching what's happening. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to piggyback on what Anthony said. Officers, when you guys go out, you don't know when you're coming back, if you come back home. You guys are our heroes, and I think a pay increase is a very minor decision. It's an easy decision. You guys, again, are first responders. We need you. I've been able to establish relationships with many of the officers. I'm out every morning doing my 9 o'clock coffee and having conversations with them. And if you haven't put a uniform on before, then you probably say, well, I don't think they need an increase. But when you put your life on the line, it means a lot. When you put the badge on, it means a lot. So again, easy decision. We hear the garbage about it. But again, I want to salute you and your officers. Congratulations on your position. I wish we could give more because you guys deserve it.
Thank you.
Hey, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree that I wish we could give more. The $61,000 for what you guys do, it's like, it's pretty amazing that we have the team that we have right now. And I'm in favor of this, but I do have a question. How do we, if we're constantly fighting for that top spot, where does it end? How do we address that for the future? Because I feel like 2 years ago, we were not having this problem, and so clearly other towns responded to us. So how do we avoid doing this every year or two?
Yeah, I've been at this for 27 years, and I think that this is what it is. I gave the analogy earlier of like a free agent in sports that, they come up at the end of their contract and they see what's more lucrative somewhere else, and I think people are seeking for that gratification of the paycheck. And I think that where we will continue to be competitive with the support of y'all and the management is starting to look at some of the other aspects of the pay and it not just being this number. But I think, again, this is like step one early in the process, that early in the year, next year, as we move into the next budget cycle, that we'll start addressing some of the secondary benefits and things that go along with it.
Okay. I'm assuming this happens across the country. Have we looked into any unique solutions? Like, I don't know, is there a non-compete option? Like, what if we give them a $10,000 salary increase and then we say, but you can't leave for 20 years?
Yeah, so, my friends that work in other states that are in unions, that's where you find those things. And so we're a right-to-work state. We're a state that I can't make somebody sign a contract and say, you have to stay here this long or you owe us this money, as much as I'd like to. The second thing that we compete with is that the retirement is a state-funded pension. And so whatever years that I work at Huntersville PD, I can take that and go to a named PD, and that time is still there, and I just pick up where I left off as far as the pension goes. I think that the draw here continues to be our crime rate, and it continues to be the quality of living and the support that the police department gets from both the staff and the commissioners, but then also the community support, as we've seen in the last week. So I think those are some of the selling points. And I think that we will be in this, I hate to say it, but we're going to be in this constant state of this. And if we falter and let it go 2 years, that this is where we end up. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, thank you for your service. I definitely want to commend you, fellow officers. Being a public servant is the most challenging profession. Trust me, I'm over 20 years of service, so I know, and underpaid at that. Being a school teacher, social work, our police officers, fire department. But it is important for us as representatives for our town to ensure that we support our staff and we continue to make sure that we retain good quality staff members. And so I think with this raise, along with what we did when we first came into office and bringing in the fire department, this shows that we are really retaining our staff and we're supporting our staff, and we want to continue to support our staff, and that is the draw too, also, in ensuring that we bring in quality staff members, and we're showing that we support them as well. So again, thank you so much for your hard work. Congratulations to you, and I will be in support and in favor of this as well.
Thank you, sir. We are big fans of HPD around here, so do we have a motion?
That's exactly what I was going to say, just a motion, and this would take effect, the first paycheck, October 3rd. October 3rd.
October 3rd. Commissioner Walsh?
I heard that.
I make a motion to upgrade the Huntersville Police Department's starting salary ranges and adjust current officer pay rates accordingly.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion?
I've got some comments.
Okay, Commissioner Walsh?
Huntersville's most valuable asset is our employees. Our dedicated staff are the ones who truly make Huntersville a wonderful place to thrive. This board has and will continue to invest heavily in our people. Over a year ago, the town board acted on the recommendations of a pay study by making broad pay increases across all departments. The town board and Mr. Roberts have been in ongoing discussions about the challenges surrounding recruitment at HPD. While pay isn't the only factor, it is certainly a major one. It's difficult to attract new officers, whether from BLET or through lateral recruiting, when saying, "Come to Huntersville, we pay less than surrounding agencies." With Mr. Roberts' strong commitment to public safety, the town board is taking the unusual step of adjusting pay early in the new fiscal year for HPD. We are confident this decision will help attract and retain the talented officers we need to keep Huntersville safe.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Hunt?
Yeah, a moment ago, Commissioner Rivers mentioned teachers, right? And as a former teacher, I can say that a number of my former teacher colleagues are now also former teachers because we have transferable skills where you can make money doing something else. And I would hate to see that happen to our police. And so I am fully in support of supporting you monetarily because we all have to pay our bills, right? And it's super important that we recognize that. So I fully support this.
Commissioner Quarles?
I believe that we should give flowers when a person's living. So again, you guys are living, and showing that we care now versus if something happened, which I hope never in the line of duty, is more important to me than just showing up in a dark suit at a memorial service. So again, I want to make sure that we can do the right thing and show our honor and respect to the HPD now.
Any other discussion?
I just want to vote because I think our staff would also appreciate if we get out of here by 9 o'clock.
All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good job. And yes, thank you so much and congratulations again. All right, Commissioner Rivers, closing comments.
I'll push it out to 9 o'clock. So, no, I'm just playing. No, I don't have any comments.
Commissioner Walsh.
I can't do that, so.
No, Dimas, Commissioner Hunt, Commissioner Quarles.
Football season, it's here.
Commissioner Bursman. And I'll just say, extend my thanks to the staff and the board for supporting me in this past month. It's been very challenging. I really appreciate you all for being here for me and my family, so thank you so much. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
I'm going to take my time. I second. I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned.